Hey, folks. How's it going? Hope everyone's doing alright today. Uh, got a pretty nice little batch of replays to go through today. From the newer player tournament, we got some Beastmen in here, which will be really fun to go over. Always a joy to see them in action. And we're going to try and help Bobby Guy out with some ins and outs of how to win, particularly this Kislev matchup. I do know that he lost one of his games against them. We'll just go ahead and jump into it here and see what we can show off. This is a pretty tough matchup for the Beastmen. Kislev's definitely got a lot of really strong tools against light armor. All of these bows, Kossar spears, armored Kossars, their pistols are pretty tough to kill. And they can definitely give you a bit of a runaround. You've got to respect the infantry, but also the mobility of Kislev. Being able to maneuver around a little bit more effectively than the Kislev forces typically is going to be your path to success here in this matchup. You've got to avoid getting trapped up in prolonged engagements with them, because the superior leadership, particularly because of Buyer Blood, typically is going to mean that your infantry ultimately end up down trading into Kislev, and that's a big issue for Beastmen, because usually the key to success for the Beastmen, yes, their Centigores and Razorgore Herd, Chariots are all very important tools, but the infantry fights need to go in the favor of the Beastmen for them to be able to win games. And the biggest part of that, in my experience, is their staying power. It's not necessarily that they have to get like a tremendous amount of value, like Zangors and Korngors, Ungor Spear Herd. They don't need to get like double their value if the Beastmen are going to win, but they need to be able to stay out on the field for a prolonged period of time. If you're able to do that, then it means that your mobile elements are able to hammer really nicely. And that's a beautiful pack trap. You have to be very careful with Malagor for this very reason. You really just can't afford to get too risky with him when your opponent has tools to be able to net him. And yeah, I'm guessing this is the game that he definitely lost, seeing as Malagor is literally already dead. I mean, just absolute nightmare scenario for the Beastmen here. That was a nice little flock of doom, but definitely not worth it for the obvious reason that now we've got a very dead Beastman Lord, and Beastman pretty low leadership faction. You can see that it's a solid amount normally. But the second they lose their Lord, that Primal Fury starts looking real flimsy. The Beastmen are very reliant on this for their infantry to be able to stick and fight, because Primal Fury doesn't just mean that you're immune to terror routes, right? It also means you're not affected by fear, and Winged Lancers and Griffin Legion all have fear on their tooltip. You can only see the Winged Lancers right now, but, you know, the Griffin Legion are just fancier Winged Lancers at the end of the day, so you've got to really lean back on the survivability of Malagor by being very, very difficult for your opponent to snipe. Malagor has 121 speed when he's got his Primal Fury active, and there really shouldn't ever be a circumstance where, one, Malagor is getting netted. You should always be able to stay farther apace of your opponent. On top of that, you just need to know the ins and outs of the matchups, like when and where opponents have snares. Pack Trap, the Wolfhearts especially, are one of the better individual units with a snare ability. Pack Trap, you get 3 uses. Fairly short cooldown of 90 seconds. Raises Vigor, locks down for 10 seconds. It's perfect for a matchup like the Beastmen, so you should always assume that your opponent has these guys hidden around. Flying forward with Malagor like we saw earlier when he just got shot out of the air, just don't do it. Just avoid it at all times. It's not worth the value that you might get. The most important part of winning this matchup is just staying disciplined and value trading really cleanly. A little bit of movement from Kislev up onto the number 2. This is actually a pretty good opportunity to pull the trigger and attack here. The Razorgore Chariots are on the wrong side of the field. Razorgore Chariots should always be on the less... or not, okay, they should always be on the more exposed side of the enemy line. Instead of the Razorgores waiting in the trees here, looking to maybe dive back here into the heart of the enemy army, Razorgore Chariots are a very aggressive unit that you want to use to clean up these isolated units. You can bring the Razorgore Chariot forward to run down the Armored Cossars. It'll just chunk through their HP. Your opponent's gonna need to protect the Cossars with the Winged Lancers. That's when you can use the Minotaurs and the Razorgore Herd to try and engage the Winged Lancers. You need to play with your mobility in concert. It's not... The Beastman mobility is all incredibly strong, but you can see how quickly it gets folded up with just a few decent engagements. These Winged Lancers get into contact with the Razorgore Herd, chunk all the HP off that the pistols and the Kossar Spears here didn't get done. You can see AI playing a much safer, more disciplined game right now than Bobby Guy is. And that's been the key difference so far. Harpy's waiting in the wings. Kislev takes the number 2. This is a bit of a problem for the Beastmen because they're very good at recapping points. But typically, the way that the Beastmen take points is by flank overloading and going and just snagging them away with like tons of mobility and bodies, pulling back and then baiting opponents back out to try and recontest those points, and then swarming with mobility to take down the enemies. When you're down by this much value right out the gate, it makes it a lot more difficult for you to be able to find the ways into the formations that you're really gunning for, because it's just a straight up grind. And like I said, this is really what Kislev is desperately wanting to avoid most of all. It's just not really their game to play and win against a much higher leadership faction like Kislev. Really nice Flock of Doom here, hammering the Winged Lancers. Also hits the Armored Cossars. It's nice, steady, consistent damage. Minotaurs moving in to back up the Zangors against the Cossars with Spears and the Ice Witch. Ice Witch taking some big blows here. Those Minotaurs are such a nightmare, man. Excellent single entity removal tool. You actually don't bring Minotaurs in a lot of matchups as the Beastmen, believe it or not. The reason for that is just because you've got stuff like Razorgore Herd, who are very good against cavalry, and cavalry are one of the bigger issues for the Beastmen. Single entities are fairly manageable for the Beastmen. Oftentimes you can even just completely avoid them. But this matchup is a prime example of where a Mino is very useful, because can help control cavalry, yes, but also has very good opportunities to engage against stuff like Frostworms. Frostworms get ripped apart by Minos in a good fight, but very good answer from Rogue AI, charging in with the Winged Lancers against these exposed Minos. Glorious charge, getting a ton of value on these Winged Lancers. Hawks of Miska goes down and is tearing through these Zangors pretty nicely. Now, Malagor doesn't have his ability, or not his ability, his item. Malagor does have an item called Icons of Vilification. I really do like it for a lot of matchups. I think this is a matchup where it's very useful for the Beastmen. It can do a lot of work to keep your infantry from breaking because of the Discourage effect on Hawks of Miska and the like. Very nice to have available around your front line, just to hover and allow your infantry to trade into the bitter end stages of engagements. Minotaurs being shot down. Very good defense in depth from Rogue AI. This is just a brutal display of domination right now. a lot of this just comes down to that early Malagor snipe, getting the Beastmen back on their heels. Killing the Razorgore herd out in the open field was brilliant, and the Winged Lancers have just been so devastating. This one's been sweeping up all the Ungor Raiders. You've still got a little bit of pocket over here for the Beastmen, but the Destroyers of Drakwold are really a holding unit. They're not going to beat an Armored Kossar. They'll get dragged down there, and Winged Lancers getting into the rear of this Zangor unit here, just tossing these poor little cows over. Brutal damage, and another great Hawks of Miska. Another nice thing about that spell, obviously, is that it doesn't do any friendly damage. So that makes it even more difficult to engage these front-line fights against Kislev. It's one of the reasons why this matchup is so bad, is because Hawks of Miska just does so much heavy lifting for the entire faction. That's why I really do think that the best way to succeed against Kislev is to play a very, very rangy and aggressive type of play style. You don't want to be forced up into their main line. You want to poke and nibble away at the edges of the Kislev formation and just kind of make sure that they don't have any ways to pull you into their firing line. You're going to take some shots. It's almost unavoidable with how much hybrid shooting Kislev can throw out. You just can't allow the Ice Witches to farm value on you with their spell kit. And Winged Lancers and Kossovite Dervishes, you gotta be able to countercharge those with your Razorgore herd. Otherwise, they'll do exactly what they did this game, and they'll just toss all of your infantry. You can see the Zangors, some of them did okay, but this Razorgore Chariot got forgotten about. And the Chariot just ended up going down to a Winged Lancer, which just picked it apart. Razorgore Chariot's very good armor, but the Glorious Charge and the full surround from a cavalry unit will pull it down pretty quickly. Ungor Raiders didn't get much done. Malagor was very ineffective, and he only had one spell. Flock of Doom is great, but it's worth remembering that Malagor does have other spells available to him, and Pendulum against lightly armored units like Kossar Spears and Armored Kossars, it can do a lot of big damage. It may not be the most optimal spell in the world, but the just the threat of it can keep your opponent honest, and if they make a mistake and they keep some units a little bit too close together in the front line, you can use a Pendulum to really break up and maybe find a way into the back line of your opponent. Let's get up in here, and let's see what Suga's got going. Been playing a variety of factions, branched out to Empire now. Got Gelt, double Empire Captain. Pretty good little single entity. Foot characters, really like this archetype of unit. Just having these two, stalwart infantry heroes can really help you control a point, also give some minor buffs with stuff like Hold the Line available, leadership, and melee defense, on top of the Encourage effect, so total of 8 leadership being provided to any of the infantry near these guys. Spearmen, Grundle's Defenders, Deathjacks, they do have Stalk and Snipe, so they can be a really annoying unit. It just is kind of difficult for them to utilize both of these in tandem, considering their short range. Within 100 meters, they'll get revealed, and then they'll just be vulnerable to counterfire, same as anything else. But for that sweet spot range, if they're able to use that, they can cause a lot of damage and kind of skirt under the radar of your opponent. Pistoliers waiting in the wings, a lot of Saurus Spears here. Well, Saurus Spears, Saurus Warriors, and a Temple Guard, actually. Feral Bastiladon rocking forward. We've got a Saurus Old Blood with all of the items, which is kind of cool. It's worth cutting these down a little bit. The Amulet of Itzel definitely should get popped right now that you're getting hit by a Final Transmutation, just to save the damage, but no biggie that he's not. Definitely want to keep it in mind, though, that this is your ticket to avoiding a snipe attempt at some point in the game. You can avoid to take a little bit of damage on that Saurus Old Blood, but that's your lord. You can't really afford to lose those guys. Skink leadership gets real bad in the late game. Losing lords. Saurus don't mind it nearly as much, but they will falter after a little while if they're suffering from the effects of losing the leadership. The Horn of Kygor, if you've got this Saurus Old Blood on foot, I don't really think Horn of Kygor is very useful. If you put the Saurus Old Blood on his Raptor, though, either the Cold one or the Horned one, that's where it becomes a lot more useful. Because you can use this guy as just a little buff tool to like run around the battlefield and give stats to the Lizardmen units. Lizardmen don't really have like tremendously great combat stats overall. It's really their weapon strength. That's the selling point of their faction archetype, especially regarding the Saurus. But with the extra 24 melee attack, they can be blenders for sure. It's a little hard to do it all on their own. You can see the Death Jacks being revealed now. Getting some nice fire, and look at that Hellblaster volley gun, dude. It is just cleaving through the Saurus shields here. Brutal damage. These Hellblaster volley guns are very devastating. They're very short range, which is why you don't see them too terribly often. But when they get set up into a nice position and your opponent's obliging enough to kind of move into you, that's where you can really start to farm value with them. You know, a map of this size and type does tend to favor the heavier, wider shooting factions. You can just set up, you can get some artillery to cover the points, and just persevere through just about anything with good, consistent firepower, and then defensive plays with stuff like Demigryph Knight Halberds, moving in just to occupy the attention of the Feral Bastiladon. Might want to move away from there and actually go after the Spear Riders, though. Don't want to let these archers get pushed into too heavily. Suga doing a really nice job of widening the line out and defending against all of his infantry pressure. It's a ton of Temple Guard and Saurus Warriors, and you can see, even though the value trading is favoring Suga, there's a little bit of push through going on right now. You have some Temple Guard up in the back line. Saurus, shielded Saurus are going after these Grundle's defenders. Although, I would really like to see Bob get off of these two units and push this back line here a little bit harder. Just blobbing all of your units up on this one unit is going to end up being a real problem for you, because the Herge Jaeger Corps really needs to get set up here and start to plink away at these Temple Guard and Saurus. If they're able to do that, it's going to be a very quick and easy fight for the Empire. They're going to sweep these guys off the field in a matter of moments with all that shooting. Opening up, Hellblaster volley gun. Trots a little too far forward, is a little bit out of position. Should just turn around and start opening up on the Razordawn hunting pack. If they're able to do that, then they'll be able to pull them down fairly quickly. Pistoliers pulling back, really nice Searing Doom. I mean, that's like the dream target, right? And this is why you can't blob your infantry up. They just get surrounded, they're going to get pounded by spells, your opponent's going to bring forward some firepower and just light them up. Lizard's about to outmuscle the Empire on the number 2 objective. Not a whole lot left here. Demigryph Halberds looking to get out of this strike area. Is that a Uranus Thunderbolt? It's gotta be, right? Very long wind-up on it. Oh, Comet of Cassandora. Brutal damage against the Spearmen, but they were pretty low to begin with. Demigryph Halberds are a little bit trapped up on the Temple Guard anyways. Temple Guard could just blend through this Demigryph Halberd, and then the Lizards would have 2 objectives. The biggest issue, though, is that they've just lost out on the value trading so hard on the other side of the field here. Even though they've held their own on the number 2 and accomplished a bit of a breakthrough, the damage really hasn't been too severe. It's mostly been the State Trooper line that's been ground down on this middle objective. Demigryph Halberds took some damage, but they're going to pull away in decently good order. Archers are just lighting up whatever units are in their range. They've kited back very effectively. You can see a lot of Lizardmen units kind of spread out here, just being cleaned up. Source Spears being tossed by the grenade launchers. These Outrider grenade launchers, easily a top 5 unit for the Empire. Particularly at cleaning up infantry, which has always been a little bit of the Empire's weak point. The Empire doesn't really have infantry that can win the front line decisively. Having range tools that are exceptionally strong at clearing out chaff, and then can even duo a little bit at tearing down enemy mobility, is just an amazing niche to have filled. And the grenade launchers are a fairly unique unit as well. No other faction that I can think of really has anything quite comparable. Temple Guard sitting and trying to weather. Really nice Searing Doom again. It's a little difficult to dodge Searing Doom at times, just because it does come in every 30 seconds. It's very cheap. It's very short wind-up time. It's almost always worth it just to try to move the unit out of range of the actual spellcast, though. It'll save you a lot of headaches and potential losses, even if they move out of only the back end of the actual spellcast. Yeah, grenades just breaking open the Lizard position here, and more of a massacre. With the Hellblaster Volley Gun opening up again, it's just tearing apart this Saurus Warrior. You've got the grenade launchers chipping away as well. Good return fire from the Chameleon Skinks. Chameleons are very good at answering Outrider grenade launchers. They've got enough missile resistance that they can actually survive a volley or 2. It's definitely not ideal for them, but if you've got enough Chameleon Skinks together, they can actually pull down the Outriders. A little bit difficult for them to do here, though, when they're this heavily outnumbered. Another beautiful Searing Doom. Does hit the Colossadon Hunters a little bit. You know, Colossadon Hunters not nearly as vulnerable as infantry or cavalry to Searing Doom, but they will take a little bit of damage regardless. Probably a nice, like, 100, 150 gold value. Poking away at those guys from Balthazar Guilt. Empire Captain pushed off out here. Ripper Dactyl's waiting in the wings. Yeah, it does look like, well, one Empire Captain's actually doing alright. Actually, the source of most of the fury for the Lizardmen here. He's attracting a lot of aggro and just hanging in there with the Knights of the Black Rose. The Demigryph Halberds coming in too, and a few Flagellants. Flagellants trading pretty decently right now. Demigryph Halberds. Getting rid of the Colossadon Hunters, we're going to get one more Searing Doom. Oh, Plague of Rust, actually, on the Ripper Dactyls. Not bad, actually. They do have 45 armor, which, you know, does help them out if they get charged by something like a Knight of the Black Rose. You can see that with the lack of armor, all the way down to 15 here, that flank charge just crushes what remains of those guys, and this is definitely going to be a win here. I don't know what's going on with this Comet. Trying to hit the Empire Captain dead on, I guess. A very cheeky attempt, I guess, but ultimately fruitless. The Skink Priest, you know, Comet really isn't the best call. Comet is better against heavier infantry. Against a bunch of chaff, it's a little bit overcosted. You'd much rather have Uranans for how cheap Uranan's Thunderbolt is. It's got crazy range on it. It's like 300 meters, I think. So you can basically turn your Skink Priest of Heavens into an artillery piece. And just smack cavalry, infantry, whatever gets in range of it. And combat scatters a lot. It's very hard to actually land it where you want. Just brutality. I mean, the lizards can't even get up on their home objective at this point. If the lizards really wanted to play this Saurus wall, they could definitely have gone for it, but it would be worth maybe mixing in something like a Burning Headcaster. You might ask, why would you bring a Burning Headcaster when you've got a whole bunch of Saurus, and Saurus do so well against the state troopers? Well, the reason that you bring the Burning Head would be just to clear the lines of state troopers out, and then the Saurus can just swarm up and push your opponent off of all of their points where they can't even hold onto anything. You get a triple cap, and then you just try to minimize losses and win on tickets for the rest of the game. Lizards really went and tried to do a little too much in this match here, and it's really gotten them punished for the effort.
I knew it. Unending.
Hawklands with 1800, great value on the grenade launchers, and Demogryph Knights with 1800 value themselves. Very nice performances across the board. Lizardmen, just too slow of a build, man. I mean, against the Empire, this is a very doable matchup for the Lizards. You just need to go for something a little bit more toned for that particular faction matchup. There's a few things that you can do. I really recommend Krokgar on his Horned one with Hand of the Gods and Sacred Spawning. The reason that you go with Sacred Spawning and Hand of the Gods, you've got Phys Res and Vigor Reduction on this ability. And keep Krokgar nice and protected from all the shooting that the Empire has. Hand of the Gods is very good for just throwing out against artillery, just to clear it out, or using against war wagons, which are a pretty common sight here. You can go for Skink Priest, either do Flock of Doom, or, like I said, you go for the Uranans, and just try and plonk it on top of anything that your opponent's not paying attention to. 300-meter range is really nice, so that guy can just like hide in a forest and pop that all game. It also imbues Roiling Skies, which can be very annoying for those Empire flying characters. Boris, Emperor, Karl Franz, Gelt, all of them affected by this, and it really messes with them. The 25% speed decrease that they are hit by, plus the minus 20 melee defense is the biggest thing here. And this triggers every time you cast, and it lasts 25 seconds, which is a long time for a passive. It's very good for giving you a leg up whenever those guys either land, because this does still affect them when they land, or just to go after them with your own flyers, like the Colossadon Hunters. It's the difference between catching Carl or just whiffing on him completely, because he is pretty quick on Deathclaw. You can see he's got 90 speed himself, so if you don't have Roiling Skies, the Colossadon Hunters will never be able to catch Karl Franz in the air. If you have Roiling Skies active and the Colossadon Hunters are like nearby, pretty close to him, they can actually close the gap on him at that point and really tear him up. I would say your best bet, probably, for taking down the Empire's Lizardmen, Bastillodon Solar Engines. 240-meter range is pretty damn strong. They've got the blinded effect. They can counter war wagons, which are the biggest threat here. If your opponent goes for some cannons and other artillery pieces, then you just need to be very careful about the positioning on the Bastillodons. Artillery is really not much of a worry for the lizard men. You just want to have something that can kill a few of the pieces like Hand of the Gods, and it'll give you an opportunity to scoot forward and maybe finish them up with some focus fire from the Bastillodons. Saurus are a good call here. I wouldn't go too heavy into them early. Really, just some skink cohorts are your best friend here. Maybe like 2 Saurus spears to back it up, and then you can just get some bodies in here. Skink cohorts are very good for occupying attention from the Empire. Just don't feed your opponent any opportunities to really take advantage of your squishy forces. And you should end up having a pretty good time here. You can go with a bunch of skink skirmishers if you want, but they can be picked apart by the Empire shooting. You know, if just because we saw our lizard player go for a lot of Saurus earlier, we'll go for 3 here, just to round out an army that's a little bit more in line with what they were looking to do last time. I wouldn't bring Temple Guard in this matchup. The only Temple Guard that's really worth it is Star Chamber Guardians against the Chaos factions. The Star Chamber Guardians against any of the Mono Gods are disgustingly strong, and Undead too. Vampire counts can get absolutely bodied by these guys, but every other matchup I would recommend not trying to use them. They're a little too vulnerable. Umbral Tide, excellent ROR unit to have in reserve. Salamander Hunting Packs, amazing. Add on Perfect Vigor and Stalk to these guys. You're talking about one of the more annoying range pieces in the entire game. Opponent's not going to enjoy getting hit by those. Couple Chameleon Stalkers can be nice against the Empire, because these little explosive darts that they use are very strong against war wagons. Plus, very good against the skirmish cavalry. So they can run in, throw their little darts, blow a bunch of stuff up, and then just utilize that Phys Res and missile resistance to persevere up into a frontline fight, and just poke and prod and be very irritating. They're kind of hard to remove if they're well protected by some mass. Other pieces here, just like tons of Feral Cold ones against the Empire. They're 500 gold. They have AP, decent stats, heavy armor, very good for running down Empire Knights and Reichsguard and Knights of the Black Rose even. Lots for them to do. And then maybe a couple of Cold One Spear Riders just to back that up. You can maybe even do 3. Empire's just gonna have to wear through it all, and it's a lot of HP and armor piercing for them to have to contend with at any one time. Any other tools that you're looking for? You can just mess around with the last 1700, but this is a really nice, solid anti-Empire type of army. You've got some durable units with the Saurus, you've got your own ranged pieces to poke with, and the Bastillodon's Croc Guard to counter some arty, or just to hammer enemy lord, or whatever, really. Hand of the Gods is good against it all. Especially strong against Hawklands. Hawkland long rifles get destroyed by Hand of the Gods. Let's get Blessed versus Eldeno here. I do have some Beastman replays that I want to show off. Excuse me, just to give some reference to what Beastmen should look like in order for them to really get their way, kind of push opponents around, and just to show that you don't always have to go with just Malagor for every matchup. I've got a nice little spread on all the Lord choices here, just to kind of give people some ideas of circumstances and matchups where you don't have to just go with Malagor as the most meta option. He is amazing. He's probably your best Lord in about 80% of matchups, but it gets a little tiring using him all the time. Just want to show off that some of the other lords have capabilities. We'll get through this Tomb King's High Elf matchup, and then we'll go watch one of my Beastman replays, so I can kind of show you some of the ins and outs of playing the Beastmen, and how to really take full advantage of them. Skeleton Horse Archer's gonna rock forward. Very nice tool. Exceptionally strong at just poking down other skirmish cavalry. Usually, the reason for that is just because these guys are, like, dirt cheap compared to all the other ones. They're 475 gold. Illyrian Reaver Archers are 600. Kislev Horse Archers are 600. Not High Elf. Wood Elf Horse Archers cost 600 or 700 depending on what variant. So Skeleton Horse Archers are pretty comparable to all of those for a nice little premium. So I do really like to see them here. They're gonna poke the Shadow Warriors. Shadow Warriors really are about the most okay unit of all time. I really don't recommend Shadow Warriors. If you want to go for this type of unit, don't bring these guys. Get Shadow Walkers instead for 150 gold more. They are way stronger. Something that is not going to show up on the unit card that differentiates Shadow Walkers from the Shadow Warriors here. Shadow Warriors have regular old, like, missile unit accuracy. Shadow Walkers are a much more accurate unit. They hit their shots better. Plus, Shadow Walkers have poison on their missiles, and I believe on their melee, too. Plus a bonus versus infantry, so it's just a straight upgrade. On a unit archetype that can work very well for the High Elves. They're getting outranged a little bit by the artillery here. We've seen a few good shots from the Casket of Souls already. Actually, a little surprised to see it doing so well right off the bat. Typically something that struggles in my experience. Tons of Silver and Guard here. You got 3 of them. Definitely want to start trying to hammer those guys with the Casket. Just get it to be targeting something in the center of the formation. The Casket of Souls has a ton of spread on its missiles. It can be very inaccurate if it's just targeting something that's kind of like out and alone. The best target to try and hit right now would be the Spearmen in the front here, because the Scatter will send it onto any of the Silverins that are off to the sides here. Brutal damage on the Rangers, though. Brilliant shot there. Just chunking through their HP, too. Oh my goodness. Lyrian Reavers, melee cavalry, looking to move in. We've got some Skeleton Horsemen waiting in the wings. Could countercharge here and lock these guys up and allow the Horse Archers to just poke them down. Looks, though, like the Tomb Kings are going to be a little bit more discerning about when and where they're going to take these mobility engagements. Just poking away with the arrows here. Having a good old time. Oh, and we actually have High Queen Khalida. I just completely forgot to talk about her. Honestly, a really fun and strong combat character. She's got some serious chops to her. She can get a lot of work done for you in the melee trading. Just with her amazing stats, you can see. 6260, 450 weapon strength, crazy high charge bonus, good armor, good HP pool. The only reason you don't see her more often is because of the Kemrian War Sphinx being absolutely busted. And Cetra just being a really good hybrid caster character on a really strong mount. That's the only reason that Khalida isn't a more common choice. Lich Priest here has got the Restless Dead, going to be using Usirians and Jaffs just to give the heal and also the small buff and then damage against stuff like cavalry, wear out the Shadow Warriors and whatnot. Brutal blobbing here. When your opponent has a very strong anti-infantry arty piece, you've got to keep your spacing a lot more disciplined than what we're seeing here from Eldeno so far. Good pressure into the back line, but it's going to peter out pretty quickly just because the Illyrian Reaver Archers' solid skirmish cav piece I say skirmish cav, just really light cavalry. They don't have a ranged attack or anything. They do have really good stats, so they can fight against skeleton horsemen. They're so deep in against the Tomb Kings right now. You can see they just get lit up by the bow fire, the skeleton horsemen getting a very nice opportunity to punch back. And that's going to be a very, very short and painful engagement for the High Elves back here. Chosen of the Gods are currently a little bit tied up. They've gotten some decent value. That's a really nice set of shots, man, from the... This Casket of Souls has been putting in work. 1,200 value on it. I can't even tell you the last time that I've seen anything close to that from one of these things. But there are Silver and Garden Spearmen, like, threatening to jump on top of it right now. High Elves really should go for this. Actually, just have the Spearmen sit here on the blue line and have the Silverans get in on top of the casket and just pull it down. Focusing on the Lich Priest right now. Lich Priest only has 30 armor. He's got awful melee defense, so he could go down here, and that would be a big problem for the Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings falter in the late game. They're very good at playing from a lead, but that lead is starting to look like it might be coming under threat. I know they're up by almost 1,300 gold, but we are seeing Alarielle. She has been throwing down some pretty decent heals. Skeleton Warriors are just there to occupy attention. They're not really going to do a lot of damage. Warlions of Trace, though, getting poked horrifically by the Skeleton Spears. That's a beautiful uptrade. Oh, and a point-blank shot from Kalita, actually. Using the Venom Staff just to bully Alarielle here. Another really nice Earthblood. Life Bloom there, giving some HP as well. Fireborn getting shredded by the Eyes of the Desert right now. Sepulchral Stalkers, excellent, excellent missile piece. Not so good in prolonged melee fights. We'll see how they do against this very tattered Fireborn here. There's a few Spearmen on top of them as well, but I don't see that really going much farther for the High Elves. Fireborn are pulling back. Casket of Souls is still poking and shooting. Trying to hit the Rangers right now. Should swap over to the Archer. Definitely the target of choice right now. You can see the Spearmen getting shot up by the Horse Archers. Just really nice positioning on these guys. They've gotten some pretty steady and consistent damage against the light armor of the High Elves, and they're cleaning up that backline pressure really nicely. And the Casket is able to get free now, 1,400 value off of it. It's pretty impressive. Necropolis Knight Halberd taking down the Shadow Warriors off on the side. Both those units compromised. Very, very short fight incoming. The Necropolis Knights are just way better in melee combat. Even a Shadow Walker would get tossed by the Necropolis Knights. It's not like the Shadow Walkers would be doing anything special, per se, but they would be able to kite back a little bit more effectively with the poison that the Shadow Walkers have on their missile. It would just be a lot less likely that the Necropolis Knights are able to catch the Shadow Walkers before you're able to bring forward some cavalry. Fireborn are sitting and fighting, but Huckling Kalita's in here, and she's gotten 2,200 value. She has gotten some pretty damn good work done. She is trying to push past the Fireborn right now, so she eats a lot of unnecessary damage. Gotta be really careful about pushing single entities through units, because when they're trying to move through something like a cavalry piece or a war lion, those units are just getting free hits off on your single entity. They're not in combat, and technically they count as being pursued. So they can really get hammered that way. It's better to just have your single entities engaged on whatever is around them, so that you're guaranteed some work out of them. Especially combat characters like Kalita. You know, your casting is on an entirely different character, so you should just kind of unga bunga forward Kalita into fights and just make sure that you have some peel around her so she doesn't end up in a situation where she can't get support and or escape. Reaver's being pushed back. It's definitely triple cap territory for the Tomb Kings, and this is where things can get a little scary for them. I think they have a big enough lead right now, though, to be able to get the objectives. Eldeno did make a really good call pulling back. I mean, absolute right way to go about this in the late game. It's going to be really hard no matter what. You didn't shut down the Casket of Souls. It's only got one more shot. Got 1,800 value, though. It cleared a lot of bodies and did a lot of damage. It's going to get unsummoned and give about probably like 300-400 supplies to the Tomb King's player here. You really are just like desperately trying to hold any of your points, but yeah, man, this is just looking like such an uphill grind. The healing from Alariel has been nice, but it is just not done enough in the face of all the shooting. You know, enough missiles will overwhelm any amount of healing. Missiles are very powerful. Oftentimes against missile-heavy factions like the Tomb Kings, it's actually better to go for some proper clear options on the missiles than it is to go for a bunch of healing trying to outlast it, because it's going to be an exercise in futility if you go that route more often than not. Yeah, it's been kind of interesting. The life magic used to be by far and away one of the best lures. Like, no contest, top 1 or 2. But over time, especially in Warhammer 3, it's actually really gone back the other direction. Nowadays, the best lore options are the value trading lures and more aggressive options. Stuff like Shadows Magic, Metal Magic, the lore of Slaanesh. Beast Magic is a pretty good example as well. And the lore of Nehekara. Lore of Nehekara has some really good magic in it, man. That Usirians is just vicious against cavalry. It just unloads on them, and it's very difficult to keep those cavalry units alive when they're getting eaten up by it. You can see it takes about a third of the HP off of an Illyrian Reaver, which is wicked damage. Apply that to the Fireborn right now, please. Archers pushing up. The High Elves do retake their home objective. Did that actually... Did they keep it in time? God, this is like a few points off one way or the other for both these factions right now. I think the Tomb Kings do need to hold that home point again at some point. Oh, but their pressure is just really wearing out. They really don't have a whole lot up there anymore. Skeleton Horsemen have an opportunity to jump the archers here. There's an awful lot of bodies and infantry coming in and getting up on that objective now. Chosen of the Gods really should focus in on this blob over here. Got all these Silver and Guard bunched up with one another. There's some Rangers here that'd be a pretty good target of opportunity. Another really nice Usirians. Illyrian Reaver cavalry, not going to be out on the field much longer. Definitely going to be going down in just a moment. I would not be overcasting Usirians ever. All you get is a greater effect on speed, and you're spending an extra 3 Winds of Magic. Not worth it, considering the fact you want to be using the lore passive for your healing. Just undercast it every single time. It's more efficient. If you overcast Usirians, say like 3 times, that's taking away several charges of Jaffs and almost a full other Usirians that you could end up using. War Lions jumping the Sepulchral Stalkers with a little bit of fire support and actually going to be able to bring these guys down in a moment, I think. War Lions do get taken out by the Spearmen. Oh, and the Eyes of the Desert able to squeak away again. Really nice back and forth here between these two players, man. Bless had a huge lead, but it's starting to dissipate a little bit now. You got the Great Eagle harassing the Chosen of the Gods, too. Really nice inclusion. Great Eagles really are not something that you see too terribly often, but can definitely be a really good pressure piece for unit of this caliber. Chosen of the Gods are respectably defensive, but against decent weapon strength from the Great Eagle, they can still get pushed around a bit. A little bit of damage on the Rangers. Rangers breaking here, not 100% what they broke their leadership, but that is a really bad loss for the High Elves here. The Nakara Horsemen, actually, really need to just sweep this unit up real quick. And just have to play off this number 2 objective, man. Sepulchral Stalkers are out of ammo. They might as well stay up on that number 2. Get your horsemen up on there as well to try and hold it. You need to get this number 1. Oh my god, it's going to be a very close win for the High Elves here, I think. Oh my goodness. Still have a little bit of time. Assyrians and an engagement from the Eyes of the Desert is going to finish up the Fireborn at the very least. And you can see the Tomb King's desperately clinging to this objective here. Massive reinforcing wave from the High Elves here, though. Rangers, Spearmen, Shadow Warriors, more Spears. A Silvern Guard coming from the deep set now. Ushabti out on the field for Blesk. You've got some Skeleton Spears as well. Nakara Warriors and a Skeleton Horse Archer moving up. And somehow finding a way to rout a whole bunch of these elf forces here. That pressure from the Chosen of the Gods really helping them out here. It's the only thing keeping the Tomb Kings from losing this number 2 objective right now. But yeah, they just didn't get the home objective triple cap for long enough. And Eldeno, with all of the infantry here, there's no way the Tomb Kings with their bad cap weight are going to be able to take this. Chosen of the Gods are going to have to get like 1,000 value and... yeah, about 10 seconds here. Can they do it? Probably not, but they can get some pretty respectable damage off. They cleave through infantry really nicely with their little airburst missiles. Pretty disruptive, high damage potential. Could definitely give the Tomb Kings the win here if they just had some more time to work with. Losing the home objective early for the Tomb Kings was kind of what lost them this game, really. If they just had a little bit more time to work with, they'd be able to take this. Just really have to know when and where you need to just bunker up and play off of 1 point at times. The Tomb Kings, especially with how bad Skeleton Warrior cap weight is, have to be especially mindful of it. They can't afford to really make any mistakes in that respect. 3,500 value Khalida. That's wicked. Oh my god. I actually have a I have a Discord channel I've got to post that kind of value in. Oh, that's awesome to hear, dude. I hope you've been having a good time with it. Even if you never get into the multiplayer side of things, it's still one of the best, like, single-player campaign experiences you'll find. Not to say that there aren't some real janky things going on sometimes with the AI. But, you know, just the depth and the scope of it really work out. And I found that a lot of the campaign bugs are just temperamental in nature. Like, I'll have campaigns where sometimes the AI will just decide it's going to turtle up on a city all campaign, and other times they're way more aggressive. Lizardmen and Wood Elves are really nice set of factions to run. Both of them very versatile and have really, really strong missile pieces that you can play off of. Yeah, Rev Crystals are pretty underrated, Chom. I really enjoy them. I think that there's some times where Rev Crystals with Krokgar and his big Carnosaur can actually be pretty terrifying for some factions, particularly the Chaos factions. I've had some success with Krokgar against Warriors of Chaos. And Blood, yeah, the thing about the vampire counts, you can do that same thing that you're talking about with Blood Knights and Graveguard, but for even cheaper by just doing Skeleton Spears and the Crypt Horrors. Combo those two together, and you've got an even more cost-effective little blob to sit on top of. Makes for a really dangerous pile to engage on. I don't really know how to term it any other way. Sometimes the vampire counts matchups really is just like piles of bones and shambling monstrosities just bunched up on top of one another. I'm gonna show you a little bit of Appeasement action here. I saved a few replays of me playing some less than meta Lord options and just against some higher level folks. And I just really want to show off a little bit of Appeasement play that I feel like shows some of the more wild things that you can do with them. And this game is definitely one of them. So this is Changer's Madhouse. This is a fairly big map. And it does have home objectives. And only Beastmen, really. Beastmen and maybe Lizardmen can do something similar to this. The Vanguards are so deep up on the sides of this map, so I just have units spread out all over the place. And the reason that I'm doing this, especially against the Dwarves, Dowie have some very annoying missile pieces, and they can bring in artillery and stuff, so I've just got these stalked units to, like, hide around in the back line and potentially push up when and where needed to shut them down. So, going for that, tried to grab the number 2 objective, but Bugman's popping out of the shadows and opening up on my Zangors. Just gonna pull them back. They survive it pretty decently. If they didn't have that overshield and the silver shields here, they'd have just been totally deleted here. But just kiting back, pulling the miners deeper and deeper in. Razorgore Chariot's getting a beautiful charge here, just going right through the miners. Miners getting absolutely run over here. Give me 1 second, guys. What the heck is going on with my audio? Okay, there we go. I don't know what was going on with that. There's been some weirdness with some of my settings. Just realized the game sound for me was off for a minute there. But yeah, just use... This is why... If you look at the win rate for the Dowie against the Beastmen, it does not look very good. Then the Razorgore Chariots are the long and the short of the answer as to why it really is not good at all for the Dowie. These things are just an absolute bully tool against infantry. And you know, the Bugman's Ranger's holding up pretty good here. Like, this is the kind of thing that the Dowie want. They want your infantry to get engaged up on top of very stalwart and long-lasting units. The Razorgore Chariots just completely cancel out that rock, paper, scissors aspect of this matchup. You know, you just bulldoze up through the heart of the Dowie formation. The Dowie don't really even have any mass that can stop this. Really, the gyrocopters are the answer to the Razor Gore chariots, either that or some cannons. You'd think that Slayers would be good for answering the chariots, but Slayers actually get dunked on by Razor Gores. It's really disgusting. You can see here, just continuing the rampage. I'm not being very, I'm not microing my infantry around excellently, I would say. But that's because I'm pouring so much of my attention into the Razor Gore chariot performing here. The more that it's rolling around and just disrupting all of these Dowie missiles, the harder it's going to become for my opponent to box up the way that the Dowie really want to and need to win games. You can see it's just a complete shambles at this point. All of the infantry are getting shut down. There's a couple Bugmans being cleared for now. The Zangors get hammered by that gyro bombing run. Really nice drop there. Getting a little tired of the gyro shenanigans, though, so I bring in a Harpy just to have those things on the run. And the Razor Gore chariots looking healthy as ever and continuing to roll through all of my opponent's goodies. While the Bestigors are just here to clean up the miners. You can see that these miners here, the Ekrans, actually have a lot of their blasting charges left. And there were a couple of other miners that really got jumped without getting any value out of those things. Anytime that you're able to isolate miners with blasting charges before they're able to get any damage in is definitely what you really want to be going for. It's a very excellent opportunity for the amount of input that you need to take down a miner. Miners are just really weak in melee, so you want to knock them over with something like a Razor Gore chariot and then just run in a Zangor or even Ungor can occupy them. Goblin Hewer comes up, but it just gets jumped on by the Ungor herd. This Ungor herd was just running around in the back line, waiting for an opportunity to jump on something like a Grim Delver or the artillery piece like they have here. And you can see I've got the Chaos Spawn summons from Morgur. Morgur's here literally just to not die. That's the only thing that I care about here with him. He can fight the Dowie Lord. If it were somebody like Ungrim or even Belagar, would be pretty tough for Morgur to deal with. I would just be running away instead. But he can smack this guy around a little bit and give me some value out of the Chaos Spawn summons. You can see one of them over here got 450 value, which is just beautiful, man. On top of the Bugman's Rangers, no less, with the Bestigor herd backing him up now. And it's just a full press now. Like, the Dowie are down 3,000 value. Dowie very bad at the comeback. Every time they're trying to get units out, I'm just swarming it with the chariot play. Both of the Razor Gore chariots have paid off really nicely.
Unending glory is yours.
One of them's still really healthy. This is the risk of Dowie. You gotta know when and where to play the Beastmen on their maps with Vanguard. Any map that has good Vanguard spawns for the Beastmen, you should avoid like the plague, because I'm one of the people who will 100% like just throw units into a circle and have you surrounded by the start of the game if that opportunity presents itself. It's one of the things that gives the Beastmen the kind of strength that they really need as a faction in terms of maneuverability to win games. Because I mentioned it against in that game between Bobby. I can't remember who he was playing. Oh, Bobby and Rogue AI. When Bobby was playing Beastmen against Kislev. Beastmen do not win by just rushing up into their opponent and grinding through their front line. Beastmen infantry are there as a sweeper tool, and the units like Razor Gore chariots and the Centaurs go in aggressively to try and shut down your opponent's backline. Do a bunch of damage with all of the good charge bonuses that they have available, and then as your infantry grind through the beat-up front line, that's when they can kind of get in and just help clean up the rest of the ranged pieces, and your mobile tools can go around icing your opponent's mobility at that point and just completely shutting them down. So, I mean, it's literally just heavy lifting from the Razorgore Chariots. You need to use Razorgore Chariots if you're playing Beastmen. There are so many matchups where they 100% carry you. As you can see, Dowie, probably like the prime example of what happens when a faction does not have mass to shut down those frickin' Razorgores. Razorgore Asgore truck. 100%. Yeah, Dryads have their time and place. Dryads are good against, like, greenskins. And they're good to mix in a few other matchups, where there's lots of light armor. Eternal Guard are just better with the shield, against any ranged faction. Because they stay protected. They can also use their AP spears against mobility. So, like, Empire. What are the best matchups for the Eternal Guard? Empire for sure. Dark Elves pretty good for them as well. If you're playing High Elves, you're probably going for Eternal Guard also. Norska's a pretty good Eternal Guard faction. Ogre Kingdom's obviously good for the Eternal Guard. Although Dryads are pretty good at clearing out the Noblars as well. Tzeentch Warriors of Chaos also probably good for the Eternal Guard and Kislev. So you got quite a few matchups where they're pretty good. It's about half and half. Like, I very much agree with your analysis of the Dryads and the Eternal Guard. They do have about the same performance overall. You just bring the Dryads if you're facing off against, like, where are the Greenskins? If you're facing off against, like, Greenskins, you know, they might want to bring, like, Savage Orcs or something, or some Biggins. Dryads can chew through those guys and then allow your other, like, missiles to focus elsewhere where they're a little bit better suited than just, like, shooting at a bunch of infantry. But there's a lot of things that the Wood Elves can do. They're a very flexible faction. Units are very multi-faceted for them. We'll get around to this one. Definitely cool to see Nakai against Khorne. Nakai is actually pretty good against them because of the buffs and debuffs he provides. Oh, it doesn't have his buff ability. He's just got miasma here. Huh. Don't know if I agree with that one. But anyways, let's go and see some more Beastmen versus Kislev action. And I'll talk a little bit more about, like, things you can do. This is looking more like the kind of Kislev build that you gotta be, like, really afraid and, maybe a little over-prepared for, because Kislev has really effective single entities, and they can 100% go with these, single entity Goon Squad builds still. You know, we've got an Ice Witch with Tempest Magic, Hawks of Miska, of course, for the light-armored faction, just to clear through bodies, discourage leadership, no reason not to bring that spell. Another regular Frostworm, and Incarnate Elemental of Beasts. This is the one piece I wouldn't really be so keen on. The Incarnate Elemental is nice. It's got good leadership. The actual Mortis engine is okay. It's about, let's see. Yeah, it's half the effectiveness of a Reliquary Corruption or the Pestilent Decay of Nurgle that are like the premium tier, but it's active for most of the game usually, as long as this guy's above 25% HP. With the Patriarch healing, you should be for a good long while. On Howl of the Great Beast is a really good leadership debuff, so you just can't really engage onto this now. Like, this is something that you have to run away from. What you do against Kislev, like, yeah, you bring your characters. You see there's death magic here. Okay, so Bobby has the right idea, but this is the wrong spell to bring. You don't want Spirit Leech. Just ignore Spirit Leech and bring Traderkin instead. Traderkin is an AoE Spirit Leech. I'll show it to you here. Last 12 seconds does cost a good bit more than Spirit Leech. But the thing about Traderkin is that it's a radius. It's a direct damage area effect spell. 35-meter radius, 12-second duration. 11 Winds of Magic is, you know, a little bit pricey, but if you're hitting 4 big single entities, that is value city. I've played a game where I brought my Traderkin caster. He got 4,000 value. I wasn't able to kill these big monsters because there were other things about my build in that game that had been very inefficient. And honestly, this is kind of looking a lot like that build that I had brought that kind of got run over by Kislev. You do want some Synagore throwing axes. I love the inclusion of those guys here. The Razorgore Chariot is very important as well. Just one of those in reserve at all times. I would actually be thinking about going for Korok's Man Rippers or even some Korngors, though. Bobby, in the future against Kislev. You don't need to max out on Zangors against Kislev. You can have like 2 Zangors and 2 Korngors, and I think that's the best spread of units that you could possibly want for this matchup. Because the Korngors come in and they can like fight Winged Lancers, push back, and support against single entities and whatnot. The Zangors just are really durable, so they can like survive concentrated fire from stuff like horse archers, which is really nice. So they're good for moving up on flanks and just having a couple Zangors sit on a point and just make it hard for your opponent to cap. But yeah. Engaging onto all the single entities and struggling mightily for it. You can see Terror Routes going down, tons of damage. Gonna get a Hawks of Miska here too. It's gonna cause Terror Routes on the Ungor Spearherd and the Zangors, probably. And you can see the damage that Hawks of Miska puts down, man. It just shreds anything with less than like 80, 90 armor. Even the Zangors taking horrific damage from this thing. And that Discourage effect lasts 21 seconds. So it gets imbued, and then it gets refreshed every time that the unit is hit by the spell, and then it lasts for another 21 seconds once it's all said and done. That's why you just can't fight on these things. It's just brutal. This matchup is really hard for the Beastmen because of these playstyles. Kislev either goes super wide, and you don't have a way to answer that, or Kislev goes with these crazy single entities. They blob you up and they nuke you with spells and countercharges and skirmish fire from all of the cavalry, and you just get folded up that way. It gets real ugly real quick. See more Winged Lancers waiting in the wings. Definitely need them to be moving up. Cap weight is a problem for this Kislev build. You can see some caps incoming. Don't move off this point here. Just keep the Zangors and Ungor Spearherd on the point. Grab it, and then you can move off. That'll force the single entities to have to go cap a point. And you're really just trying to play for time. This engagement, as you can see, is just not working. Riz is starting to overlap in value. Bobby has gotten what looks like decent value with 2,700 gold damage. But what has that really been piled on? Really, the only thing that's died has been one Winged Lancer. There's still a pretty healthy Griffin Legion here. The single entities are almost all at full health. Either that or, at worst, at about 60% of their total pool. And I believe the Patriarch still has, two Solyaks left. That's just brutal. And you can see Razorgore Herd getting folded up here as well. They don't do very good against those, anti-large type of units, man. The Frostworms just bully Razorgore Herd. Razorgore Herd need to be used in this, matchup to counter, Winged Lancers and Griffin Legion. Use the Razorgore Herd to countercharge these cavalry, and that's where you get value out of them. You can see full retreat from the Beastmen here. This is just like, I mean, that's the right call, but, like, it sucks, because what are you going to do against it? It's just impossible to stop this right now for Bobby Guy. Some Flocks of Doom on the Horse Archers would be really nice. Definitely would love to see that. You really have to keep your Synagore throwing axes safe. If they're constantly getting countercharged by your opponent's cavalry, taking a whole bunch of damage, there are other options that you could be going for that would probably do you a little bit better. Just bring Traderkin as a reserve cast. And I honestly think that against Kislev, this is a Doom Bowl matchup. Either a Doom Bowl or Kazarak. Kazarak's really good at running over infantry. If your Kislev opponent brings any infantry and you have Kazarak, he'll be able to bully them pretty nicely. The reason you bring a Doom Bowl is because Doom Bowls have a leadership and melee attack buff in combat. Which can be really good for stiffening up your with keeping them from routing a whole bunch. And then you can summon out a Bray Shaman with the Traderkin on the cheapest available chariot, is how I would go about it. Actually able to drag down one of the Frostworms out over here. The eye switch is crazy low. Kislev's starting to hurt themselves by spreading out the single entity blob. They're not that far behind on points, so they really shouldn't be doing that. They should just focus on continuing the value trading. And they should be fine. They've still got plenty on the field. And that Incarnate Elemental with the Mortis effect is going to be doing a lot of work with all of the infantry that are in here. It's getting real ugly. Bray Shaman with a nice Spirit Leech on the Frostworm, but collision damage, and then the glorious charge from all of the cavalry is just brutalizing the infantry here, as you can see. So many of them just running and fleeing and not giving the Beastmen any real opportunities. It'd be super nice if Malagor could finish this character. If Malagor kills the Ice Switch, that would be a huge win for the Beastmen, but he actually lands and gets knocked over. Light War Sleds coming out. Oh, Light War Sleds in the late game to clear infantry? Really, really cheeky. Use this Flock of Doom to try and kill her, but you see she's only taken like 2 points of damage per tick. Very inefficient against single entities. Yeah, man, and that fight on the #1 objective with all those Goreherd and Zangors getting just crushed by the leadership terror effects and Mortis Engine damage is way too much to ask for the Beastmen to continue in this game. They just tapped out on supplies. You can see that the value looks okay, but the healing, man, from that Patriarch. Full health Incarnate Elemental in the late game is a nightmare. You just cannot survive against something like that. And the Frostworm got some pretty decent value. The Tempest Ice Switch was dealt with eventually. It was honestly a very scrappy game from Bobby, considering just how unoptimal his army is against this Kislev build. But such is the way of things, you know. Not every matchup can be good for a faction. It wouldn't be fun if every matchup were just easy peasy for the Beastmen. You can see that there are plenty of ways to counter the Beastmen. Beastmen falter against single entity blobs. They can struggle against heavy cavalry if they're not getting good value out of the Razorgore herd. You can see that light armor just gets folded up so hard. And the Butchers of Kalkengard, who are one of the best units in the game, just isolated out here with all of the infantry underneath them running away and swarmed to their doom and death. And Malagor with its Flocks of Doom just feels very impotent here. Get a Doom Bull. Get a Bray Shaman with Wild's Magic. Put Traderkin on him and maybe Devolve. Devolve just if your opponent doesn't have anything too big and scary.
There is only defeat.
Even if your opponent only has like one big single entity, Traderkin can still be really useful because Traderkin does good damage to things in the woods. It's good against snow leopards, obviously. You do see them a fair amount. If your opponent brings out the Patriarch to try and heal your, or try and heal their lord, then you can or you can roll your caster forward and drop Traderkin on both of them. It's just really solid and hedges against the most obnoxious of the Kislev build archetypes that kind of dominates the Beastmen. 2 throwing axes, really good. I would just stick with, I would go with the Butchers of Kalkengard and not bring the Minotaur Great Weapons. And, I'd grab one more Razorgore herd. Get rid of this Gore herd, and I think you'll have a 550, 650 from what's left over of the Minotaur after another Razorgore herd. Yeah, then you can get like a Bestigor herd or something. You do want some Bestigor herd against Kislev. Bestigor herd are good against just about anything in some respect. Bestigor herd may get tossed around by Winged Lancers a little bit, but they're heavily armored, and they have good weapon strength and charge bonus. If they just YOLO charge into a Winged Lancer, a Bestigor herd will actually put some work in against those guys. And they can be really tough to clear out. They have a little bit more leadership than all the other Beastmen units. It's not like a tremendous difference, but every little bit helps. It can be a nice little anchor piece. Korok's Man Rippers especially, though, are the way to go. What's up, Eric? Korok's Man Rippers are actually one of the best Bestigor units for this one simple reason. They're a Bestigor that is just outright better in every single respect other than charge bonus over a standard Bestigor herd. For 200 gold more, they have 80 leadership instead of 70. They have 12 more melee defense, so a little bit more than a normal ROR does in terms of extra stats. They get an extra 9 melee attack, up to 44 plus Primal Fury means they have 49 melee attack. These guys are a great generalist unit, and they're only lacking 2 weapon strength over a standard Bestigor unit. They've got 2 less AP, but they make up for it by having a bonus versus large of 20. These guys are amazing. Trust me, they're excellent. You should definitely prioritize bringing them in matchups where you need to have heavy armor and also a nice, solid anti-large and anti-cav position. They hold great. They'll rip into just about anything that's trying to attack them. And they really are only best dealt with at range. And that can be really difficult. Like, Beastmen have all these aggressive swarming elements, like Harpies and Razorgore Herd, Centaurs, obviously. Chariots for any, like, foot infantry that's trying to get in to shoot the Koroks. They're just a really hard-to-answer tool, I've found. Most people are just not ready for the elite Beastmen infantry. Let's watch another, let's get some more Beastman games in. Show off another one of the really good games that I've had playing them in some of the tournaments. I've been playing offline a little bit. That's where all of these are from. I've got another tournament where I played some Beastmen, and you can go watch that stream if you want to see some more Brayherd action. And this is going to be one where you'll see the Koroks Man Rippers, and their performance, you'll see about it. You'll see. They played a very decisive role, but not necessarily in the way that you would think here. This is also going to be, you'll see about it. We love Doom Bowls. Doom Bowls are great, man. The only reason you don't see more of the Beastman Lord options is because Malagor is just so cost-effective. He's cheap, he's hard to snipe with how fast he is. He's got a great mixed lore of magic. There's so much going for him that very rarely are you seeing anything other than him, but the other Lord choices do have some teeth, and Doom Bowls, especially against factions that have aggressive Lords like Grom and Gorbad Ironclaw. Doom Bowl with his Dazed Contact effect can be a real annoying piece to lock down somebody like Grom, because Grom getting smacked and losing 25% of his speed is a big problem for him. Plus losing 10 melee defense on the already squishy 35 that he has here. If he gets caught by the Doom Bowl, it could be game blouses for him. So you can see I'm just positioning my caster in the forest. He's on foot, so he's going to be very vulnerable to Grom. I need to keep him hidden as much as possible. So I just have him hiding in the trees for the time being, hoping my opponent didn't see where I put him. Koroks Man Rippers, also going to position them in the trees. Just a little bit of damage mitigation with the forest, blocking some of the arrows, and then Grom, if he tries to come in and charge against them, he's going to lose stats as he gets up in here. Maybe we can lock him down and just rip him apart with those halberds. I capped the #1 early, so this is why Ungor Spearherd are great, because for 325 gold, yeah, they don't have great cap weight because they're expendable. See, they've got that expendable amount, but more often than not, they can still grab a point for you. And I'm just trying to pull those guys back. I want to force the Greenskins to overload on this side, because I've got my Zangors all the way out on this flank that I can then push around into the back to try and get after the Savage Orc Error Boys, kill Night Goblins, any and all comers. I feel very confident poking in against. Ungor Raiders going to open up from the trees here. They've got a really nice way to fire. You can see they're putting down a little bit of pressure on the Orc Boys. Ungor Raiders are just a really annoying unit. They attract a lot of aggro for how cheap they are. They're a really good tool for forcing your opponent out of position. We're going to pop a Melkoths here. I'm pulling back the Ungor Spearherd and getting the Korok Man Rippers forward. The reason for that, you love to bait and switch. The Ungor Spearherd would just lose in the front line. I'd much rather have them just drawing my opponent deeper and deeper in. And then you bait and swap, right? Like you send forward Butchers of Kalkengard with an Ungor Spearherd, break open some infantry units, which is exactly what I'm going to be going for here. You can see my Doom Bowl positioning up over on the flank here. Butchers of Kalkengard going in against the Orc Boys just to get a quick win here on this flank. And then maneuver around to look out for opportunities to get rid of the Black Orcs here. My positioning could be a little bit better. You can see one of my Ungor Raiders a little bit blobbed up inside my Ungor Spearherd. Could definitely put the Spearherd forward and just pull the Raiders back a little bit more. This Ungor Raider in a really nice position, just poking. I'm going to throw some damage down. My Bray Shaman is just hanging out here as well, just doing a little bit of fighting. Not really where he should be, honestly. Grom is right next to him. I really need to have him fleeing a little bit better, but we'll get around to that eventually. You can see the Koroks Man Rippers just got shredded this game. It's a very uninspiring performance from them, but they occupied all of my opponent's shooting for a very critical amount of time. And all the time that my opponent's missiles have been firing, they were focusing down the Bestigor herd, and it's allowed the Synagor throwing axes to do a little bit of decent damage with their own attacks. And it's also giving me time to find the proper target for that Pit of Shades. Pit of Shades hammering the Rugleds in the back line here now. Really chunking through them. Repositioning my Zangors back a little bit. I was going to go and push around the side, but I saw Flappas and then Broken Tusk Mob and some Boarboy Biggins coming out. Didn't really want to tangle with that. And back here, the Butchers of Kalkengard are doing their thing. They're actually routing a whole bunch of Orc Boys back. They've had 2 units that they've dealt with very handily. Grom is bullying my poor Bray Shaman right now, but he spends a little too long fighting this little guy. And the Doom Bull and the Butchers of Kalkengard actually get on top of Grom and start to really pull him apart. Pushed back, though, by the Broken Tusk Mob. Just need to get away. Pulling forward the Ungor Spear Herd. Making sure that I get some spears saturated in against the Boar Cavalry. Very important if the Butchers of Kalkengard are going to turn around and value trade here at all. Stopping Grom in his tracks. He's running in. I just gave them the move order because their bodies are enough to actually stop his momentum. And now I've got the Doom Bull all over him again. And Doom Bulls are quick, dude. They've got 61 speed, and you can see it, that dazed effect and the exhaustion. Grom is actually slower than the Doom Bull now. My value trading does not look all that good right now. It is actually looking a little bit grim for me in that regard. I've definitely had a few problems grinding down some of the elements of this Greenskin army, but I've got my Razorgore Chariot in now. It's been very sneakily handled. I just crept it up through the trees once I saw all the Orc Boar Boys diving into my back line. And they're occupying the attention of the Rugleds and the Savage Orc Air Boys, and it's allowing my Zangors and Razorgore Herd to shut down the Savage Orc Air Boy over here. These Zangors, absolute heroes. They've been occupying Snotling Pump Wagons, Orc Boys, and now the Swamp Fangs, and somehow finding a way to hold on that entire time. Synagore Throwing Axes, I got away from paying attention to them for a little bit, but they killed Black Orc here with their Throwing Axes. Just pulling those guys down, and now Black Orc Great Weapons here, getting bulldozed over way too deep, and totally lacking protection. Butchers of Kalkengard, Razorgore Herd, Doom Bull, all of these cheap AP units, just really hammering them from every conceivable angle, and pulling them down. The Ungor Spear Herd, man, look at these guys, just sitting in underneath these fights and value trading. Really awesome buffering for your mobile pieces is what I would say the Ungor Spear Herd should be used as. Ungor Spear Herd are not a frontline unit. Do not use them like that. Use them to bait your opponent. Use them to push around flanks and occupy high-value units. And you can see here, this is just absolutely disgusting. My opponent just doesn't have anything to protect back here other than the Morgrubs. And Butchers of Kalkengard and the Razorgore Chariots will be taking damage from those little guys, but they're getting a ton of work in against all of these routing units, pushing deeper and deeper back the Rugleds and the Savage Orc Air Boys, killing some more Black Orcs. Lots of like there. You can see the Biggins here just slowly getting worn down by the Razorgore Herd. Razorgore Herd countercharging, man. Their value hasn't been as good as some other games where I've seen Razorgore double or even triple their value, but they've done more than enough here to give me time in this game to bring forward my heavy hitters and really push my opponent around since he overextended into my backline. So here, this is a very small play, and these are the kind of things that can accrue you a lot of value by the end of it. Sacking the Butchers of Kalkengard here into the Orc Boar Boy Biggins, they're going to lose that fight, but they're not going to outrun the Boars anyways. I just throw them in here to occupy the attention of the Biggins so that my Razorgore Chariot can escape. It's got 1300 value. It just needs to go and get free, and if any more Orc Infantry come out, they can just go to farm them and beat them down. And that allows the Bestigor Herd to just sit on the number 2 objective if they want to. Got a Centigore going for the number 3. My opponent does clean up my Centigore Throwing Axes. They got 1100 value, though. Pretty respectable. They killed some Snotling Pump Wagons, and then they were beating up on this Orc Boy and the Wolf Rider that was deep in here. Zangor's getting knocked over. not really able to hold up against the fast and flighty little cavalry here. But not the end of the world. That unit got its value, and that was the most important thing. Bray Shaman just popping a Melkoth. He really hasn't gotten a tremendous amount of value. He got wrecked by Grom. But he got a really nice Pit of Shades off on the Rugloods, which is part of the reason why they're broken and routing right now. The Razorgore Chariots helped to finish them off, and you can see my opponent. You know, that was a pretty healthy Orc Biggin. But they get hit by the Melkoths, they get into combat, and then just numbers from the Beastmen kind of standing them up here. You see the Koroks Manrippers got 128 kills. And here in the late game, yeah, they've only got 1,000 HP, but they actually did provide a little bit of punch against these guys. And a little bit of extra mass, and you can see triple the value on an Ungor Spearherd. Wicked stuff, man. I mean, you don't think of that as being like a game-breaking kind of thing, but if Ungor Spearherd are regularly up trading, then it's almost a guarantee that you were able to beat your opponent, just because of the very specialized niche that they occupy. You can see Beastmen, they get a small value lead, and they will just absolutely bum rush over the entire field and take all the points away from you. Sentis and Doombull looking for the Grom fight. Grom's got to run away here, because if he gets surrounded by the Centigores, Doombull's going to trot over and beat his ass again. And you can see he gets a little caught up on them. Sentis push past just to shut down the Air Boys. This little pocket of infantry just moving forward. They're going to get sandwiched here, but it's not the end of the world. It's really not that bad for me to lose these guys. I've got plenty to make up for it. I've got the Butchers of Kalkengard coming back. Middle is very well secured with the Bestigor herd on it. And my Centigore herd that's just capping out here on the flank. I wasn't very fussed about moving them over. I was planning on just keeping them over there and just playing for time on this number 1. And just pushing when and where applicable. So let's go and see the tail of the tape. Doombull did really well this game. Got a little bit of an uptrade. 1,600 value on him, just bullying Grom. Grom got 1,000 value early and then just got hard punished by the Butchers. They got 1,750 the first time they came out. They were ready for round 2 after a little bit of time in the reinforcement pool. My 2 Centigores I didn't worry about so much. I just got the Razorgore herd out. One of them got 700, about 500 on another, and then one of them pretty much doubling its value with 1,100. They did amazing damage to some Snotling pump wagons, and then helped finish off the Swamp Things with the assistance from Doombull. And the Slaughter's, he had the Slaughter's Call ability, giving the melee attack and leadership to everything. And it definitely helped out tremendously with the Butchers of Kalkengard value trading. Butchers are really good when they get to run around with the Doombull. That's really where I would say they shine the best. And yeah, the Ungor Raiders didn't have good, clean lines of fire that game. They were getting swarmed a lot. But the pressure that they brought out from my opponent gave my own chariot plenty of time to hammer down the back line of the Greenskins, and that's why it's sitting here with 1,400 value. These things can do it in, they can get 1,400 value in just a couple minutes of, like, well-microed play. That's why I think they're such an important tool for the Beastmen. Oh, nice game against the Dwarfs. Thank you, man. Can't Gyrocopters turn and beat Harpies instead of run? No, they can't. Harpies actually beat Gyros in a one-on-one. At least they did last time I checked this 1v1 out. Things do change as the game gets updated, obviously. So let's actually just go and let's go do our due diligence and double check that, because it is important to know. We'll max out on the Harpies, and we'll get like 3 gyros or something for the dwarves. Gyrocopter brimstone guns can do some good damage to harpies on the way in. But the fire can be a little bit hard to actually land with at times. There's definitely some risks to using harpies to chase around the gyros. It's not like you're using the harpies to guarantee a kill on the gyrocopters. Really, you bring the harpies out just as a annoying tool to occupy the gyro's attention in the sky. It's going to take your opponent time to clear them off, and the time that the harpies are occupying the gyros is more time for your Razorgore chariots to, like, kill the Dowie on the ground. Which is the more important thing to do. Like, gyros can get all the value in the world, but if the rest of the Dowie army isn't really doing anything, then it's just GG. The reason that gyros don't beat harpies is because harpies do have 38 melee defense. They're actually pretty good at just locking down the gyros in melee combat, and gyros only have 6 melee defense. While the harpies only have 22 melee attack, it's way skewed in their favor, and they do have decent weapon strength. With a little bit of AP. As soon as these gyros get caught, they're donezo. But, like, look, even if you don't catch the gyros, like, gyros can't shoot and move the way they used to anymore. Gyros used to be super busted because they're really hard to catch because of how fast they are. And they could fire while moving, and they would just kill everything, and it was really stupid and annoying. They can't really do that now. And you can see, now that they're actually getting caught over here, you can see that they're starting to get pretty beat up. If they were actually trying to sit and fight in melee, it would actually be going worse for them than trying to run. As long as the gyros are moving, it's actually pretty tough for flyers to do damage to these things. That's just because of the way that flying combat is coded. Like, you can see there are, like, harpies in base contact the gyrocopters, but the gyros are taking no damage. I don't know what it is about the way they coded the flying combat, but it is, it's not ideal. It really is one of the, elements that is not quite working the way that I feel like it really should for all, fairness to everybody involved. Because really, what the coding on the inability of flying units to actually, like, hit flyers that are running away means is that melee flyers are inherently less valuable than missile flyers, like gyrocopters, changebringers, stuff like that. You have to have your opponent make a mistake for you to actually win. Otherwise, your opponent will just do this. Like, you'll actually see this in multiplayer games, where gyrocopters are just running for their lives from, like, harpies or furies, and they'll just, like, be flying around like this the entire game. I don't even know if that's ever going to end up getting resolved, but I feel fairly confident that harpies still very comfortably beat gyrocopters in the melee fight. And like I said, half the time you're just using the harpies as a distraction tool so that you can use your chariots to go and bully stuff. Yeah, and that's another thing. The Ungor Raider archers can actually poke gyros pretty effectively, because gyros don't have a lot of HP. So even, like, basic archer fire can pull them down pretty fast. There are a lot of ways to deal with gyros. Honestly, gyrocopters, really not that scary. Like these, basic ones. Honestly, the Skyhammer Squadron and the Gyro Bombers are really what you want to be using as the dwarves nowadays. Skyhammer Bombs just delete everything. It's disgusting how strong it is. And the regular Gyro Bombers have pretty, effective bomb loads as well, so that's where I would put my money if you want to bring Dowie Air Force, or you just go with like 1,000,000 brimstone guns. The Brimstone guns are not very good against the chariots, like the steam gyros are. But they have the burnt contact effect, which lowers leadership. Awesome against beastmen. Plus, they just do good damage to lightly armored stuff. Beastmen, lightly armored faction through and through outside of Bestigor herds and the chariots. And a couple of their lords, like Torox and the Doombull have armor, and Kazrak too, but... you know, like, whether you see those guys or not, probably not. Against the Beastmen, your best bet is Morgur or Malagor. Malagor is actually really good against the Dowie, because he can just single-handedly shut down gyrocopters. He's actually quick enough to attack them in the air and do damage to them, which is pretty awesome. Plus, you got some pretty good stuff. Enfeebling Foe is pretty good against the Dowie. Very good for your shock and awe against them. You can do a Mantle of Gorok and give some huge buffs to your frontline units. Like, say your Bestigor herd are running in and your opponent's got, like a Longbeard Great Weapon out on the field or something. You know, something that Bestigors would, like, beat, but it would actually take them a little bit of time to finish off. You can just pop Mantle of Gorok on that fight, and then they just lawnmower through these guys. He's very competitive. What else have we got in terms of games? Oh, we got Daceburg. Let's watch Dace versus Tort here. We've got Khorne versus Lizardmen, very classic matchup. Pretty heavily Khorne favored. Does come with a few caveats that you need to be careful of as Khorne. Your horsemen, awesome. They kill all of the big stuff that the Lizardmen really like to rely on. But they're very vulnerable to the skink cohort javelins and chameleon skinks. They get absolutely lit up by those little guys. So you have to be very careful with those throwing axes if you're going to use them. Because they are quite pricey at 675 gold. They're an investment that you really need to work hard to protect. I do like the double Mino opening with all the Chaos Warriors. Valkia can just fly around. She'll drop Sleipnir when and where needed. Doesn't have Demon Shield. I always recommend Demon Shield. You might struggle a little bit early on to find the right time and place to pop Demon Shield, but with practice playing with Valkia, you'll find out very quickly just how powerful of an item it is. I mean, invulnerability to damage is pretty gross in terms of item effects. And Valkia just loves being able to land on scary, annoying characters and just smacking them in the face and then running away, cackling like a lunatic. Brutal shots coming in from the Solar Engine. This is why Solar Engines are so good. You can see it in practice right now, just completely boxing out the Khorne Horsemen without any problems whatsoever. And 130 value, only used a couple shots, so well on its way to paying for itself. Fire's a little high against the Minotaurs. Not really the kind of target that they want to be focusing right now. We got some Fleshhounds coming out. Let me just talk about Fleshhounds and Furies against the against the Lizardmen. So Fleshhounds, very vulnerable to stuff like the Coldwind Spear Riders and Coldwind Riders. Fleshhounds do beat Feral Coldwinds, though. So you can use them very safely against them. And they also destroy Skinks. Fleshhounds versus Skinks is filthy favored for Khorne. It'll just absolutely pull them to pieces. You can see here that the value trade in the range game definitely favoring the Lizardmen. Really nice volleys from the Chameleon Skinks. They're wasting one here on Valkia. Not really going to do a whole lot of damage to her. Well, we've got the Skink Cohort Javelins moving over. Tort needs to get the Horsemen back right now, because they're going to get lit up if they get hit by this volley. Oh, Khorne also doesn't need to play so aggressively here. What Khorne really should do... What you should do here right now as Khorne is 2 Chaos Warriors at the edge of the point here. Minotaur back here. Maybe Minotaur a little bit farther forward in the front line. You can have your Fleshhounds chilling in the woods here. Or, really what you should do is rotate them over with a couple Chaos Warriors and just lock the points down. Because right now, what you want to do is force the Lizardmen to play into you. You don't want to have to go to the Lizardmen to get value. Because that's where their solid missile play is going to really outvalue you as Khorne. Which we've been seeing all game so far. That these Khorne units just don't have the sauce at range compared to the Lizards. These throwing axes are really best used against single entities, not against a bunch of Skink Cohort. That was a nice Sleipnir. Got some good value for Valkia there. She's getting focused by the Solar Engine a little bit right now. It's swapping back over to some of the Horsemen, but Skink Cohort Javelins did more than enough to clean those guys up. And Furies come in, but a little too late. Furies needed to be out and over here much earlier. Lizards might be able to steal this point right now. Really close, and that's going to be a Uranans going down. To punish the... Oh my god, punish the Furies. Look at the damage on that Fury unit. Taking about half their HP out. 243 value. One good rip out of that Uranans. This is the classic Valkia pitfall. Valkia is a great lord. She's very good at poking and prodding. Don't land her in infantry if you don't have peel for her, because she can't escape, and then somebody like Nakai is going to come over and just bully her. Because she can fight Nakai, but not if he's got a whole bunch of buddies around him. And this is where you get the whole, oh, Valkia sucks, actually, argument from. When people are really just not using her the way that you should. Valkia does not dive alone. Valkia is good for initiating engagements, popping Demon Shield, and then you follow up with units that can then peel the pressure off of her and punish your opponent for trying to attack her. Or you use Valkia to just be a little bit of an ace up your sleeve in the mobile fight game. Meaning, say you've got your Minotaurs fighting out against a Sacred Kroxigor unit incoming. Like Cohort of Waddle, a really tough unit, a little bit much for one Minotaur to handle. What you do is you have the Minotaurs engage, and then you have Valkia get in here as well. Valkia can take down models in the Cohort of Waddle pretty quickly with her good combat stats. And she can help flip that fight in your favor. Another problem here with the Khorne plan of attack is that they just sent everything in piecemeal. Fleshhounds and Furies are good damage dealers, but not if they're grinding away in the front line. You need to get your Chaos Warriors in first, and then you bring in all of your Minotaurs after. Chaos Warriors are designed to take a beating and keep on ticking. They're going to just be, they're just going to be bullied now. Like, they're gonna get some value, they're gonna grind against the Saurus Warriors fine, but with all the Kroxigors that are on the field now, and flanks from Coldwind Riders, they will get hammered down fairly quickly. That's gonna be brutal Uranans. Oh my god, dude. Just a couple of those have gotten about 560 value for that guy. You can see Khorne's lost the number 2 as well. They just can't hold on to this point with a lack of punching power here. They're just Khorne is playing too fairly for the Lizards. You're moving up on your opponent's home objective where they have shorter lines of advance. Khorne does have some quick and numerous Vanguard options, but for the heavy-hitting stuff, these Blood Beasts have to run so freaking far. You could have just forced your opponent to respect you on the 2 and the 3, and they'd have had a wicked hard time pushing you off. They'd have had to spend a lot of time poking you with the Solar Engine, trying to catch you slipping with the Heaven's Magic, poking with the Chameleon Skinks and the Skink Cohort, and it really wouldn't have been too effective if you're just using the Silver Shields and 110 armor on the Chaos Warriors to, like, weather through it all, but now they just get blobbed up, and you can see that they're getting terror routed and then just actually breaking on the leadership here and annihilated. So really well played by Daceberg, taking advantage of Tort here. I respect the Valkia pick, but we just need to see a little bit cleaner play out of her. Bring Demon Shield. She's 1,800 gold with Demon Shield and Sleipnir. It's almost always worth it. She is super durable. Take advantage of it with the Demon Shield so that she can take some speculative fights and you can bait your opponent and then do some good peel for her. Umbral Tide coming out. There's just no way Khorne can do this. They bring Wrathmongers in, which is nice, but honestly, if you wanted to push your opponent's home objective, the Wrathmongers should have come out before the Fleshhounds. Like, the Fleshhounds are the thing you bring out so that you can push back enemy skirmishers and just keep pressure off your Chaos Warriors and make sure they don't take a bunch of damage at range. I do like Blood Beasts, man. Blood Beasts are actually a really good unit. A lot of people dish on them and just say that Minotaurs are outright better, but I actually think that Blood Beast spam is actually a pretty good way to go for Khorne in a lot of matchups. Because their armor is really the only weak point on them. I don't think that Lizardmen are really the Blood Beast matchup. I do think the Minotaurs are on average a little bit better, just because Lizards have tons of terror-causing units. Minotaurs have ITP. But against a lot of other factions, the extra speed from the Blood Beasts and their crazy high charge bonus of 50 makes them a exceptionally powerful shock countercharge type of unit that a lot of factions don't do too hot against. Empire gets lit up by Blood Beasts because Empire Knights and Reiksguard, Knights of the Black Rose, pretty much all of their mobility outside of the Demigryph Halberds just get bodied by Blood Beasts on the charge. Demigryph Halberds can struggle against Blood Beasts too, though. And they're also a little bit cheaper. Blood Beasts are 1,100 gold versus 1,350 for the Minotaurs. Khorne just didn't play in concert with one another. There was just too many risky dives, not enough patience. Just way too antsy. There's no reason for Khorne to be the one that got aggressive there. I know you're playing Khorne. I love the role playing, but if you want to win, you need to be a lot more patient and force your opponent out of position. You're wrong, Piston. Valkia is a good lord. She's very, very capable of easily getting her value and much more. Well-played Valkia will get you easy peasy 2,500 value with the potential for like 3,000 at the upper end. And she's actually able to get into fights that Skulltaker can't sometimes. You just have to be preserving of her, right? I mean, she doesn't get heals. What she has is what she gets, and if you respect that and play around it, and give her winning engagements to fight in, she will 100% do all the work that you need out of her and help carry games for you at times. A little bit more Lizardman action, and we got Lazuka over here on the greenskins. We'll run this replay, I'll back out, and we'll do another one of my Beastman replays, just to show off. We'll move forward from there. Once I'm out of replays, I'll just be ending stream. I've got like 4 or 5 more to go through. We've had some really good new player games this week. I'm really sad I couldn't be there like I really wanted to be. My internet went out on Friday, and then my ISP was just absolutely unhelpful about it from end to end. And it was down all of Friday pretty much, almost all of Saturday. So, you know, a little painful to have to miss out on my regular stream time because of that. It happens, though. Goblin Great Shaman with Vindictive Glare, Curse of the Bad Moon, Sneaky Stabbing. Don't even try it, does some pretty decent damage. Just pop that on, like, the Rev Crystal, actually. So, something to keep in mind about Rev Crystals for all you Lizardman players or people who want to pick them up. Rev Crystals can only heal allies. Rev Crystals cannot use the heal on themselves. If you want to heal a Rev Crystal with a Rev Crystal, then you need to have 2 of them. Otherwise, these guys need to be played with fairly defensively. That way they can use their heals on other targets. But they are really strong. I love me some Rev Crystal action. You get 7-10% heals, which on the Lizardmen HP pools is an insane amount of healing. I mean, that's 1,000 HP you're healing up on Sorai. That's 650 HP you can give to the Slain Mage Priest. 900 thereabouts on the Cohort of Waddle. You get 7 uses of that. If you have 1 Rev Crystal, you can heal cap 2 units, pretty much. Do it fairly consistently. Amazing Burning Head. Oh, some awesome damage here. Is going to get some friendly fire. Oh my god. Brutal friendly fire, actually, on the Saurus Warriors here. Oh no. Double ouch. Double ouch, dude. Okay, well that could have gone a lot better for the Lizards. They got a good kill on this Orc boy, but man oh man did they roast their own Saurus down. Gonna need that Rev Crystal healing after that one, man. That's damage that's not being reflected either in the value trading either. Like, Dace has a 500 gold value lead. Honestly, probably did about 300 values worth of damage to his Saurus Warriors from that Burning Head, though. Definitely could have gone a lot better there. Cohort of Waddle surrounding the Night Goblin Big Boss, and they're going to kill him in probably about 10 seconds. If they just get in here and start swinging on him, stop knocking him over a whole bunch, he's going to die in record time. These guys are not very good in melee combat. You're going to need to also. This Ragnarok Spider is pressing through the front line right now. It's routed back these skink cohorts. See the Doomdiver catapults killing some of the Umbral Tide. Got more of these Kapos trying to get in. And Goblin Great Shaman makes contact with them. Umbral Tide getting beat up a little bit. Goblin Great Shaman could just use Vindictive Glare, though, to shoot these guys. Would be pretty effective just doing that. You see the Cohort of Waddle take down the Night Goblin Big Boss on top of the Savage Orc Biggins now. Kind of rough. Definitely not the best fight in the world for the Sacred Croxagores, but they get some really good support. Shield of the Old Ones, Burning Head, Statue out of Spite on top of those guys as well. And just fighting on top of a bunch of goblins, they'll be able to clean that up no problem. And a little bit of infantry support to help them out as well. Wow, and look at the great shaman. Oh, man. Big ouch. Spear riders come in, lock them down. Slan, Mage Priest, Saurus, Scarvet, and Bastillodon Rev Crystal beating up on them. With the Umbral Tide firing from behind the hill. Just wailing on this big target, man. Oh, that's a game-losing play for Lazuka. I had a feeling that was going to be a little bit too much to go for. You can see that the Greenskins are winning so hard elsewhere on the battlefield. They got all these big and cav just running over Feral Cold Ones off to the side. Like, yeah, the fight in the front here is going pretty well, all things considered, but just keep your lord safe and just use those vindictive glares from afar to wear out the hunting pack and the Slan Mage Priest, and you'd be much better off. Vindictive glare does fall off against armor, but that's why you use it on the Slan, because they only have 45, so they're actually fairly vulnerable to the magic missile casting from the Greenskins. Cohort have done a good job of surviving. They've got a decent amount of HP left, and they can always get the heals here. Although I think that the right thing to do for the Lizards is just use it on the Slan Priest for the rest of this game, so he doesn't go down here. So, pretty aggressive play from Lazuka, still coming in here. Boarboy Biggins trying to close the gap with the Umbral Tide, but gets stopped up by the Scarvet. Gets in between them and they lose focus and get crushed. Meanwhile, out here, we've got multiple Cold One Spear Riders and a Feral Cold One just running down the Broken Tusk mob. They're going to be running away. Goblin Wolf Rider Archers really aren't much of a threat to these little Raptor Cavalry. A lot of armor on these guys, plus a shield. And if it was the Morgrubs, they'd have the AP to actually do some damage, but they don't. Burning Head, just to break up a pocket of infantry. I actually do kind of like that cast, because, you know, they're beat up as is, but they could rally and rush up in here and try and steal the #1 objective away while you're maneuvering your very beleaguered army up to the #2. I think this is well in hand, though, now. You've just got so much mobility out for the Lizards now, and they're bringing out some more Saurus to replace and hang on to points. Feral Bastillodon's going to be an annoying bit of cap weight on this objective as well. They can be surprisingly hard to kill. Feral Bastillodons with the immune to flanking effect are actually fairly capable, like, distraction Carnifexes, if you will. Because that melee defense in all directions around them does help tremendously at keeping them alive. So the Slain Mage Priest goes deep to get the Burning Head off on the Doomdiver Catapult. But right as he does that, the Goblin Great Shaman comes back out and is probably going to finish off the Slan. Although maybe with the Umbral Tide and the Feral Bastillodon here, this guy is alive. You've got 4 Rev Crystals. I would start healing up the Slan. All he needs is 1 heal to get back in this, I think. Fighting out here going pretty well for the Lizards. They're just bullying whatever mobility is coming out. More Boarboy Biggins coming through. Should be fairly easy to kill. Looks like the Doomdiver Catapult rallied. I think it was able to finish the job on the Skink Priest. Maybe it was the Great Shaman, but either or. Lizard Lord is dead, but they're really not in much worse of a position for it. The Cohort of Waddle have gotten a little bit of healing. They're all over the Orc Boarboy Biggins here. Riperdactyls are cleaning up some bodies. Feral Bastillodon terror-routing some stuff. The Goblin Great Shaman just getting pulled apart by Spear Riders. Cold One Spear Riders so good against large targets because of the AP, and they They don't have the most melee attack in the world. It's pretty low at base, but the bonus versus large of 14 is usually enough to allow them to really pick apart big stuff. Umbral Tide actually run out of ammo here. Pretty crazy. 2,200 on those guys. Scarvet with 1,100, and Cohort with 12. We got the Ripperdactyls getting in now, just to help clean up the Bullboy Biggins. Savage Orc Biggins moving in at this stage. Will be able to maybe save the Shaman. I would just move away as the Lizardmen at this point. Like, you've done so much damage to them, just get out now and preserve those units. And just keep building up behind that. I wouldn't have even bothered bringing in the Mage Priest, honestly. It's nice to have the leadership stiffened back up for the Lizards, but I honestly think bodies are more important. So make sure that you hold the triple cap and you can ice the game out quickly. And the Goblin Great Shaman is fighting pretty well. He's done much better the second time out on the field, but he's just not going to be able to outlast the armor-piercing damage here. And we actually have a terror route going down on the Savage Orc Biggins from the Bastillodons. Another very underrated part of their toolkit here. You know, even if the unit is not tremendous at, like, grinding out, like, proper damage value dealt, Bastillodons being so cheap and being so heavily armored and annoying and hard to remove with terror can be all you need, really, against low leadership factions like Greenskins, to keep them from really being able to do a whole lot. Feral Cold One into a Orc Boarboy Banishment, not really doing a whole lot here. Rotates away, very unfortunately. Nice Burning Head, just to lower leadership and do a little bit of damage. And the Shield of the Old Ones is also really nice. I've seen really good Shield of the Old Ones out of Daceburg all game, really. Rev Crystal's got a couple heals. It doesn't really have any targets to hit right now. Cohort of Waddle would be a good source. Source Scarvet is just completely surrounded. He's got 1,800 value. He's done all the work that he can do. I wouldn't have really wasted a heal on him. He's like dead to rights back here. There's not really a point in trying to save him. Just get the Rev Crystal back and take it to the number 1 and heal up the Cohort of Waddle with the last 2. How much healing will that be? It'll get them up to almost 3,000 HP, so that would be pretty awesome. Those 8 models would have most of their HP pools at that point. You can see, though, that the Lizards are just consolidating their hold on the points. Goblin Wolf Riders are trying to poke on the edges, but their cap weight just isn't enough with Lizard forces just circling up the wagons and kind of collapsing on all fronts. Good catch over here. Off on the number 1. Cohort and the Spear Riders are enough to hold that down. Plus the Saurus Warriors incoming. Rev Crystal and the Bastillodon still fighting back here. Pop that last heal. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, but very well played to Daceburg. Definitely a couple of things to be a little bit safer about. That Slan should have gotten back earlier. No need to go so deep to kill the Doomdiver Catapult. I mean, they're annoying artillery pieces, but there's other things that you can throw out to get back there. Feral Cold One would be a better option. I don't know if you need this many single entities. I would cut the Feral Carnosaur just because you already have a Scarvet. Scarvet or a Carnosaur, either or. I don't think doubling up on them is worth it. You could be bringing in some more Skink Cohort in reserve here to give yourself a lot more cap weight for the late game, because that was a little bit of an issue for the Lizards here. Because they were having to summon out all these Saurus again, it took them a little while to really lock up all the points. It would be nice to have some cheaper cap weights so you can just rush up quickly and do it. Let's watch this Flying Taco game. This game is wild. This is a wild matchup here. So, we'll get in here and I'll break the armies down. If you watched the Dowie game earlier in the stream, you'll recognize the map. You know, this is one of those maps. Again, somebody counterpicked me onto this map. If you're playing Beastmen, you need to be very aware of just how deep the Vanguards go. I mean, they go all the way up. The Vanguards actually cover the Vanguard reinforcement points. So you can deploy units on top of the Vanguard, which is really goofy on this map. That's actually what I'm doing with the Ungor Spear Herd. Lizards don't have a ton of Vanguarded units, but just to be annoying. And as a just in case, I've got them there. So you can see Ungor Spear Herd over there. Senegor Throwing Axe, Sons of Goros, awesome ROR unit. Decently armored for a Senegor. Hit like a truck with their magic damage and the AP and decent stats. They've got the Perfect Vigor. They've also got Guardian, which is nice for Bray Shaman and Doombolt protection alike. Ungor Spear Herds on the number 1, and Zangors and Ungor Raiders up and forward on the number 2. To try and cap that early, getting frustrated by my opponent yet again with their own Vanguard force to try and lock that down. Korok's Manripper is going to be moving forward, and the Doom Bull, always ready to go. Being angry, Boxing Bull. He's got like a nice little blade gauntlet, you know, from, it's the Mantis Gauntlet from Fallout New Vegas. Slaughter's Call is the only thing I brought on him. He's 1450 with this kit. It's very cost effective for him. Razorgore Chariot coming out, and the ambush is on, man. My opponent was actually kind of surprised by the cavalry coming over the hill because if you zoom in down here, you can put your units back here, and usually your opponent doesn't actually know that they're there because they're hidden by the terrain. So I kind of use that to my advantage, and I'm actually able to catch a Skink Skirmisher with the Sons of Goros as a result. A little bit of damage out on the Skink Skirmisher, but Senegor is getting punished pretty badly for the effort. Not really the best use of their time and effort. Taking an awful lot of damage that I would much rather they not. Zangors, though, getting in some decent fights. They are getting charged by the Coldwind Riders here, though. Skink Cohorts also in this fight. But guess what? That's what you bring Pit of Shades for, and just perfectly lined up on them, and a very late reaction from Flying Taco gives me an amazing chunk of value. Just the standard cast from Pit of Shades, chunking through the cold ones, and also bullying those skinks to oblivion. This guy's already got a 650 value, and he's doing some good damage on his chariot, too. The Tuskor Chariot mount is actually pretty cost-effective. It's nice that you also get Vanguard deployment on him. Ungor Raiders are just firing from the safety of the back line. You can see the Zangor's not doing too hot. They've been worn out pretty badly. Ungor Spear Herd are having to come up to the front line to be the buffering now. Korok's Manrippers I'm going a little too deep on, I would say, but I do have the Razorgore Chariots following up behind them. They just trample over the Skink Cohort here. Sons of Goros looking for a nice fight out here on the flank. Looking to go after the Coldwind Riders, and I'm also going to be using my Bray Shaman and the Melkoths that he's got to kind of hammer those guys when possible. You can see I get a nice one off here, just wearing out those very expensive cavalry. Korok's Manrippers, unfortunately, get terror routed here. They were a little too far outside the zone of support. The Doom Bull is a little occupied with his buffs elsewhere. He's beating up on one of the other solar engines. These solar engines have been doing a lot of damage. It's been one of the things that's allowed Flying Taco to hold this value lead against me. Pushing really deep with the Ungor Spearherd. This is actually pretty safe to do. Not necessarily if skinks are out on the field, but Ungor Spearherd are pretty quick. As long as their Primal Fury is active, which it isn't right now, they've actually got plenty of speed to stay away from Saurus Warriors. Even without it, they're still quick enough to kind of keep a pace. I'm just using them to run down the Cold One Riders. Just keep them on the move. My opponent's actually having a micro bunch back there with those guys. The Ungor Raiders are really adding up some nice value for me. Nothing like tremendous. It doesn't look like world-beating value, but it's giving me tons of time to get rid of this Saurus Spear unit. And it's, you know, keeping the Zangors nice and fighty. They'll be able to actually reposition in a moment and get some more damage done. Razorgore Chariot, I don't know what happened over here. I saw this Cold One Rider coming out, and I'd already given it an order, but it dropped the order, and then it just sat here while the skink cohorts are running away, and then I give it another order to try and charge in, and they're still, like, hovering around back here. They're just, like, stuck on nothing. I don't know what was going on with these guys, but they were being very unresponsive. It's pretty abnormal for them, so unfortunately for me, my big heavy-hitting unit that, if you've recalled in all the other games, has been getting me, like, upwards of 1,000 value, actually gets caught out by an AP cavalry unit. It's just really brutal, and they're going to get wrecked here. Really nice Flock of Doom. Sons of Goros getting worn out, but they are helping finish off the Cold One Riders here. Karoks Man Rippers going down. Only 700 value. Little disappointed in them here, but we've got some decent Bestigor presence. And we've also got the Doom Bowl and a Razorgore Herd now. Razorgore Herd, very strong unit. They're unfortunately forced to peel for the Doom Bowl here. Doom Bowl was a little trapped up by Nakai and the Saurus Spears. So I just needed the Razorgores to kind of sacrifice themselves into that fight, unfortunately. Not my finest hour, but Razorgores out on the flank are going to just wreck the Cold One Riders. Great side charge out of the Razorgore Herd, plus the Melkoths, and that unit just melts under the pressure. It's actually able to save the Ungor Raiders, who have paid for themselves. Still have a little bit more to give. Now I'm going to summon Double Corngore out. I was banking supplies, trying to make do with what I had, and then bring out a nice, solid, and dependable little infantry force that can help clean up some of the beat-up Saurus, weather some skink fire, and just dissuade these single entities from trying to move up and cap the points is really the idea here. Razorgore Herd got pushed back from the Saurus Spears, but they're going to get back in, and a really good opportunity for me to collapse on the flank of the Cudgel Saurus Warriors here. They moved all the way around the flank. They were chasing the Ungor Spearmen, who have been running around all game, being obnoxious like usual. And they just get a little overextended, and now the Razorgore's on their rear with the buffs from Slaughter's Call. Actually getting that extra little bit of melee attack, allowing the weapon strength to really grind through the Saurus unit, which is awesome work and business for me. See, pretty respectable value out of both the Razorgore Herd now. Ungor Raiders, just keeping them there to occupy the Saurus Spears for a moment, and then moving the Corngores in to get those guys down. Got a nice little last charge from the Razorgore Herd here against the Skink Cohort Javelins. Bray Shaman needs to get out of here. Does not want to get surrounded by the Cold One Riders. Having a little bit of a hard time disengaging here. 1,500 value on this guy. He has been absolutely clutch for me so far this game. He got a great Pit of Shades early. He's been running over a lot of the Skinks. A lot of the Skinks have actually been cleaned up by the Bray Shaman on the Chariot. And now I've got some more spell casting to do, and this is actually an example. This is a very speculative spell cast, but I'm actually confident that I would be able to catch these units because my opponent gives a move order for the Cold One Riders to go through the Skink cohorts. That's actually kind of difficult for cavalry to do when their units are stationary. They often get stuck in the infantry, and then it takes them a while to turn around. So I felt pretty confident that I'd be able to cast my Pit of Shades and get some good damage on both these units, and it actually plays out pretty nicely for me. And I basically one-shot the Skink cohort, do about 1,000 damage to the Cold One Riders there. I get my Bray Shaman in there. He's got 2,000 value now. 100% the guy that's keeping me in this game right now. A lot of these other fights have been pretty back and forth for me. Not really any one decisive area for me. But we get some very nice leadership breaks here. You can see the solar engines are both really low. Don't have a lot of ammo. One's completely out. The other only has 6 shots left. Corn Gores have been doing very, very nicely at holding the line for me, which is the most important thing they could be doing right now. Able to get the Razor Gore Chariots back free. They're very low, but they got 3 models, and they can get some wicked damage in against the Source Warriors here if they get one good charge off. Which is what they're going to do now, chunking through those guys. Not the most devastating thing in the world, but enough for my purposes here. I bring some Minotaurs up. I really thought this Minotaur was going to be my late game clutch piece. And it does get a good engagement on Nakai, but a really nice cold-blooded here from Flying Taco. Able to keep him upright, not breaking and losing his nerve. And now some good shots from the other Bastiladon here. Lowering the stats of those Minotaurs down to a whopping 10 and 8 for the stats. Recover for a moment. Corngore is going to get in on the solar engine here and start trying to wear this guy out and take him down. Doom Bull with only 1,000 value, but going to start beating up on the solar engine again, trying to finish him. And the infantry for the Beastmen, or not for the Beastmen, the Lizardmen, lol, I'm the Beastmen. The infantry for the Lizardmen, especially these Skinks, just not making much headway and actually able to push up onto the number 3 objective again. Very slight value deficit, but my opponent committed a Cold One Rider onto my number 1 objective and was there for so long that he's really lost a lot of momentum back on the main fight, and then I'm able to summon the Korok's Manrippers back out of spawn and get them right up to the number 1 as my opponent caps it, and they'll be able to take this back in record time as the extra cap, or actually they don't have extra cap weight? I thought they had 7. Never mind. Korok's Manrippers have regular cap weight. I thought they were an elite unit. Whatever, man. That's fine, though. They're still doing some decent stuff there. They'll be able to cap the number 1 up pretty quickly. I do lose my Unger Raiders here. They're like out of ammo anyways. I just had them here as a bait for the Cold One Riders. I was thinking that I'd be able to get the Sons of Goros out a little bit quicker, but didn't end up happening. So I missed my opportunity a little bit. I'm going to get the Doom Bull and the Bray Shaman just to attack them anyways, just to do some damage, cause some casualties and mayhem amidst their ranks. They're going to wheel around and try and get a surround on me. But I just am going to try and keep my units on the move. As long as they're moving, they're a lot harder to hit for my opponent. The Doom Bull's going to stand and fight now, and the Sons of Goros get in, and they get that Slaughterer's Call buff. They're doing massive damage to the Cold One Riders here. Get a nice Melkoth on the other side of the fight on the other Cold One. Sons of Goros, I can sense that this fight will not be going my favor with the 2 Cold Ones and Skink cohorts underneath. But we cap the number 1 back up, and this is the kind of bait and switch that you need to do with your infantry and your cavalry. Opponent just absolutely thirsty for the kill on my expensive Centaur unit here. Korok's Manripper is going to move in and take advantage of that fact because my opponent taking a little too long to consider this properly. Or maybe not taking long enough, I guess I should say. and charges both Coldwind Riders right up into the Koroks Manrippers, who do get some decent damage on those guys, and you can see the models are just like saturated in amongst them. They're very spread out and scattered, and now the Sons of Goros can focus on the edge of this fight. They make very short work of one Coldwind Rider. The other one, a little too trapped up, Koroks Manrippers, actually doing some pretty good damage in here. Zangor's coming up out of spawn now, just motoring them forward quick as can be. Because I'm actually holding on to the number 2 still. The Minotaurs rallied, the Synagor throwing axes came in here, and they're just slowing the cap up for just long enough for the Koroks Manrippers to get on here, and now we've still got our double cap, and the Lizards desperate to try and get my home point now. They're so far behind on the objectives. I am losing the value trade game. That's a little deceptive, I would say. I don't think that's strictly true. The value trading can be a little wonky once you're resummoning units, and I would say that we're still about even like we were earlier in the game. But it's just the difference of my units being so much faster to get up to the points, being able to save up a decent number of supplies, and just getting ridiculous amounts of value to the Bray Shaman. I haven't been able to show off every Melkoths, but if you've been wondering why these Coldwind Riders have been coming out and seemingly getting some good engagements but not being able to stay around, it's because this guy's just been hammering them all game. 222 kills. He's killed probably 150 skinks just by running over them, committing vehicular manslaughter. Vehicular beast slaughter, I guess. Doing horrible, horrible things to the Lizards here. And a couple Razorgores in the late game. Perfect opportunity to get them in. They get hit by the Umbral Tide a little bit, but the Umbral Tide gets collapsed on really quickly because Taco's so desperate for that point. He has to play riskily, and I'm able to punish here with just the really nice and affordable, cheap, cost-effective options that the Lizardmen have in spades. Korngor's rallying back, and Koroks Manrippers really starting to make my opponent regret bringing in the Coldwind Riders now. Anchoring really, really nicely for me in the late game, and doing pretty good in the mid game. They just broke at a very inopportune time and really got taken advantage of there. They'd have paid for themselves if they had been able to actually sit and grind against the solar engines, but that was a live and learn moment for me. I'd definitely be a little bit more careful with them next time. Doom Bull's just running around. Look at that spear whizzing right by him. It's like anime, you know. He like sees it out of the corner of his eye, and he gets a little glint, and he like turns his head at the last moment, and this dart just whistles right by him. He's bullying the Umbral Tide. You can see they're not having a very good time. They look a lot happier than they are in reality. Love the look of these guys. Love the decorative headpiece they have. Glowing red eyes are always a cool addition to any monster. They're like a deep lava kind of glow as well. The models in this game are so beautiful, man. Like, they have so much depth and life to them. Like, the texture effects on the scales for the, like, Lizardmen is impressive. You can see, like, the Beastmen, they're pretty old models, but they still hold up pretty well for stuff that came out in, what, like 2017 or whenever this, the first game released and the Beastmen came out. They've got some pretty cool, like, musculature and some awesome, cool, effects on their armor and whatnot. So much to enjoy just getting down here and taking a look at all the models. You see the Koroks Manrippers have this, like, rusty-ish hue to their armor, which is kind of interesting. These guys, no, they do have different, like, cudgels. Some of them have, like, the razors, sharp blades on the side, and this one's got, like, a chopping axe, almost. Very cool Aztec and pre-Columbian America inspired aesthetics, which is awesome. I mean, good value from the Lizardmen on most of their units. The Coldwood Riders, they did do pretty well, but most of these guys got summoned out a second time. So they really weren't nearly as cost-efficient as you would really want them to be. And the Skink cohorts with the Javelins just did not have the kind of time outside of these first couple to really sit and shoot the way that they want. So a lot of that heavy lifting was on the Solar Engines, Nakai, and the Beast Priest. So once the Solar Engines were out of ammo and the debuffs were off the table, that second wind that I got from them being out, and the fact that I was able to stay even because of the insane value trading for my Bray Shaman. This is a 900 and... what is this guy? No, this is a 1,000 gold caster with his spell kit, and he got 2,800. He absolutely shredded the infantry, the Coldwood Riders, everything was getting bullied by him just about. And the Doom Bull got 1,300. He was able to stay like respectably close in terms of the value trading with Nakai, which was massive for me. His buffs were very nicely timed to keep some of my units fighting in the front line a little longer than normal. I'm sorry to hear it, CC. It's really up to the tournament hosts, and there's a lot of leeway and flexibility from most people in dealing with lag, because it's been such an interminable feature of the multiplayer scene for so long. It happens. It's really frustrating when it does, but we just don't have that many events to run. We try to give people an opportunity to play the games that they've signed up to play, so that they're not wasting their time. We want it to be as welcoming as possible for people of all skill sets, and whether they have like some god tier computer, like vaguely potato like mine is now, comparatively at least. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. And that player, hopefully has been talked to and told that they need to try and prioritize keeping things situated so that they're not slowing the entire tournament down for everybody. So a few more replays here. We've got Dace, we've got some Kislev, Norska. Kislev versus Chaos Dai with the double Little Grom build. We've got Dace versus Hives as well. So let's just get started getting these last 4 replays done. Slay Mage Priest with Fire Magic, gonna be rocking Burning Head assuredly. And yep, that's it. Blood Statuette, Shield of the Old Ones, and Banishment, as well as his Greater Arcane Conduit and Kindle Flame, of course. Can't really bring Fire Magic without these two. The extra Spell Mastery makes Burning Head an already good spell even crazier. Especially when you overcast it. You're talking about, what, 36 damage per second? On the overcast here. I think it might even be a little bit more. Can't remember how the rounding works on it, but you can see it even lowers leadership by 1 extra because of the spell mastery, which is kind of funny. There's a lot of really small, niche, like, effects that stack on top of one another that can really add up to something. Lyrian Reaver Archers getting poked really hard by the Chameleon Skinks, just proving always and forever that they have the superior ranged piece in the skirmish phase. Nothing can handle Chameleon Skinks. Now, if these Lyrian Reaver Archers just charge down the Chameleon Skinks, it'd be a totally different ballgame, but engaging onto Chameleons when they're well screened and supported by infantry backing them up, and then like mass like Croxagores or Coldwind Riders, very quickly you can trap yourself in a bad situation if you're going after them. The Grey have been hiding in the forest, and they're going to move up now. They do have Snipe and Stalk, which is nice. They'll be a pretty solid tool for poking against the Ancient Salamander, or any Salamander hunting packs that might come out this game. Because they'll be able to sit and safely hold behind the front line, and with 180 meter range, poke away at their to their heart's content. Archers get hit by Burning Head. The other archer pretty lucky. The rotation is definitely not doing any favors for the Lizardmen. A little bit of a miss on the Banishment as well. Very unfortunate. A little bit of tickling on the Silverin Guard. We do have that Burning Head ending off out in the open field without a whole lot to show for it. Very unfortunate for the Lizards. Ancient Salamander missing shots. What is going on here, buddy? Fired 3 shots and hasn't hit a single one of them yet. Alright, finally getting some really good damage on those Spearmen, but getting poked pretty hard by the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. So, gonna jump back a little bit, try and get set up. Feral Cold Ones and Spear Riders waiting in the wings. Want to get around. Gonna take the fight against the Illyrian Reavers. A lot of supporting fire. Storm Riders coming up. The Grey are out here, plus the Horse Archers. It's a really nice situation for the High Elves. They're gonna get a lot of decent damage off here. Even if the Paco Pot cohort have the shield and the armor, all of that's gonna add up. 1 damage is 1 damage. You can see them really starting to get worn down a little bit here, but a beautiful Burning Head in response. Roasting the Illyrian Reaver Archers. Doing some good damage to the Grey. Oh my god. And the rotation into the Storm Riders also getting some pretty good value. But nothing like truly devastating, so that's another just like slightly less than optimal moment for the Lizardmen. Ripperdactyls on the way in. 1 Chameleon does get killed, but it took a lot of focus fire to wear it out, and the other Chameleon Skink here with a pretty good opportunity to just finish off the Illyrian Reaver Archers. But a good dive here. Eldeno going right for it and trying to hammer those guys down. Croxagores and Saurus Warriors fighting with one another against Silverin Guard and Spearmen in the front line, and this is just not going to be moving anytime soon for either side. The Spearmen have crazy melee defense, so the Saurus aren't going to hit very often. When the Saurus do hit, it's going to be pretty devastating for the elf units. Eventually, the Lizards will grind down all these Spearmen, but you can see that the High Elves really are going for a defense in depth type of strategy. It's really been out here on the flank, with the Lizards actually able to survive all of the missile pressure, and then just staying aggressive and pushing through with the Pakopok cohort and the Ripperdactyls, actually able to kill a lot of the Grey. Most of the Storm Riders are dead and gone. Even shut down the Bolt Thrower for a moment, but Fireborn come out. Excuse me, and the Pakopok cohort are going to be finished off here. Ripperdactyl's going to get a little bit of value, but not really a very well-suited unit for fighting the Fireborn. Fireborn is just too damn tough. They're a great anti-large unit. They'll easily rip through the 26 melee defense that the Ripperdactyls have. But front line, very grim for the High Elves. They really don't have much of anything left here. Slain Mage Priest is looking fairly healthy. He's got 1,500 value with those Burning Heads.
One of your units
Banishment's
has been
putting in a little bit of work, too. Now you've got the lizards up on your home objective, and more Ripperdactyls out on the field. I actually really like the Ripperdactyl inclusion here. They've done some great work. Ancient Salamander was a little inaccurate early. He's only got 655 in terms of value right now, but he'll continue poking. Be a nice piece for the late game, just to hammer blobbed up spear positions like that. Maybe be able to poke some of the Fireborn down, given a good enough opportunity. So the Fireborn are going to help kill the Croxagores here. It's a really beautiful shield of the old ones to protect those guys and just give them a little bit of time to try and poke down some of the Fireborn. It's not going too hot, but Ancient Salamander with a nice shot there takes down a model. Should be able to poke down a few more, and the Source Warriors are in front of the Fireborn. Good call from Eldeno to have them wheel around and come out the backside and try and go elsewhere now, I would assume. Oh god, please don't let this happen. Slain Mage Priest needs to actually just run away. There's no reason that you should be advancing him right now. Just get him back to the #1 objective and have the Saurus Warriors sit right on top of him. Make a little box over him, and he'll be very hard to handle at that point. Rippers occupying the attention of the Fireborn and the Illyrian Reavers right here. Oh, I forgot the Fireborn have that huge fire resistance buff. Plus, they've got the Fizz Res, so very hard for the Ancient Salamander to chip them down, actually. Not nearly as good as I envisioned. Completely forgot about those two details. It's very easy to forget sometimes, right? I mean, all it takes is a couple of little stacking things to kind of throw you off. The Shield Stone of Aisha was the reason that these Fireborn went from 20% to 30%. Spear Riders, Ripperdactyls, everything and anything that can be thrown at the wall right now is basically being thrown in there, right? Fireborn get a beautiful Star of Avalorn to help them out here. They are going to be so durable through all of this, but a beautiful shot nailing the Illyrian Reavers from the Ancient Sally. Now it's 1200 value. Wow, and some unfortunate routes here for the High Elves. Now, Fireborn weathering it like champs, dude. They are just not giving a hoot and a holler about all the bodies on top of them. Daceberg's evening this up, and he's still got the momentum here. The Grey are actually being attacked by the Slain Mage Priest. He's doing some wham, bam, slam and jam magic attacks on them. It's kind of cool. He like raises his scepter up and fires like magical energy right into the ground in front of him. Kind of a cool effect. Fireborn anchoring so well, dude. They have 2,800 value just about. Gonna pull out with 2,795. War Lions of Trace grinding against the Saurus and the Croxagores here. Still some Feral Cold Ones in this fight. Very slow cap coming in from the High Elves trying to take back the #2 objective here. Got the Pock cohort back in. I don't know if they really want to be trying to get into the back of this fight. The Illyrian Reavers are going to be dealt with by Saurus, no problem. Yeah, going after the Fireborn is the right call. You got archers in the back line here. The High Elves are just so beat up and gas. Like, what are they even going to bring in with their supplies? It's going to be damn hard. Ripperdactyls in the Skink cohort taking down a few of the Spearmen here. Slowing that cap up with Skinks as well. Coleman Spear Rider has rallied on the edge of this fight. Could go off to get some damage. Pock cohort running up into the Fireborn and finally able to drag most of these guys down. They got 15 models, only 800 HP. They're probably going to go offline completely, but it's quite an investment to do that. There's nothing really protecting any of the points right now. There's a decent number of High Elves back here. Just don't know if they have time. I mean, they are triple capped, which I think is going to be the death sentence, because they weren't able to get the number 2 back. And the damn skink cohorts are just all over that point now. And having to go for the number 3, just not going to be enough, man. A Source Scarvet on the big Carnosaur comes out, actually. Love that inclusion.
I knew it.
Oh, whoops. Whatever, that's fine. Game's over. High Elves, unfortunately, not able to weather the pressure from the Saurus here. The Saurus just ground through everything, dude. I mean, they were going wire to wire. A lot of them. Jeez Louise. Now, the Gray have only got 900 value here. It's just not enough for them. They need to be doing a whole lot more. Not sure what the High Elves need here. They probably just need Eltharion. Alarielle is really cool. She can throw down heals like nobody's business, but I do think Eltharion would be the best option because he's just such an X factor in the mobile engagements with his Mistwalker's Barrage. He clears out Spear Riders and Pakopok Cohort. Feral Cold Ones really nicely. He can go and dive the Slain Mage Priest. Alarielle's just a lot more limited. I think you're better off with somebody else who's got less healing, but more combat potential. Well, if he's making false allegations of people, like, deliberately lagging and stuff when it's his own problem and fault, then that's something that people are going to have to be like, look, dude, you can come in here and you can do this, but you're not going to stick around very long if you're making bad faith arguments and being an asshole about it. So, just remind him of that fact and let tournament hosts and admins know about stuff like that. They'll deal with people who are being really out of pocket, I promise you. There's always stuff going on the back end level. Nolan Ironside, some swordsmen, spearmen, Free Company Militia as the first summon out of the Vanguard there. One engineer, Bright Wizard, and Volkmar. Into Norska. I do like the Volkmar choice into Norska, because Volkmar can clear out infantry really nicely. He's kind of hard to shut down. He's pretty dangerous for Skinwolves to attack as well. Skinwolves actually do take a lot of damage from Volkmar because of the flaming and magic attacks he has. The Jade Griffin and 100 armor is usually enough to keep them alive through any damage they do. We'll see how this goes. This is going to be a pretty fast-paced game, I would bet. I don't imagine the Norskins are going to lay back for too long. If they're smart, they'll just go right for the throat. Death Magic is an interesting choice. Fate of Buna is not really all that good anymore. It's a decent spell for, like, super elite cavalry, like Demigryph Halberds or something, but Purple Sun Azirius is honestly pretty amazing now after its buff. I didn't think it would be, but Purple Sun has gone from kind of a bad spell to being a pretty respectable upper level blob buster. Marauder Hunter Javelins moving in. We get a nice Spirit Leech going down on Volkmar, but that 40% spell resistance, man. He doesn't care too much about that at all. Javelin Hunters are going to be much more dangerous for Volkmar than the Magic is, so we'll see what kind of damage they're able to get off. Looks like they're shooting at the Grundle's Defenders right now. Definitely not what that you want to be doing normally. Throg's going to get through the front line and start beating up on Volkmar. Marauder's getting roasted here. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Oh, really lucky for the Empire, actually. Could have been a disaster for them. Very lucky that the Burning Head doesn't hit both the Spearmen here. We're going to get a really nice banishment on the Marauders and the Marauder Champions now. See how the rotation goes? Not amazing, but still decent damage, and it looks like it might be coming back and giving a little bit more pressure and damage off onto the Marauders at the very least. Champion's going to anchor really nicely. What the hell just happened? Whoa! What the hell? Alright, guys, I swear, I've never seen Throg die so quickly in my entire ass life. What the hell happened to him? Dude, the Nuln Ironside, they only have 71 value. Wow, this one Nuln and the Hawklands, maybe? What the hell killed Throg? Wow, dude, Volkmar and one Nuln Ironside just nuked Throg out of existence. Wow, okay. That's actually crazy. And he buffed himself, and he had the Grand Shield of Faith. Dude, Mustache Man getting real angry here. Oh, and that's so painful. The Burning Head. Kind of mistimed on the Marauder Champions. It does get the Kindle Flame active. It's not really able to break up their momentum onto the Nuln Ironsides. Hawk and Long Rifle's going to need to peel for those dudes. The Nulns, though, have some pretty decent value already. 1,100 on that one. The other ones on this side have about 300, which is pretty good. They're pushing off the Marauder Hunter Javelins, Knights of the Blazing Sun, sandwiching Marauders and Marauder Spearmen on the number 3. Sugar with some really nice play. And good pressure is probably going to be able to win this game in pretty short order at the current rate, I would say. Volkmar with 1,700 value, currently running over some Marauder Hunter Javelins. Needs to get the hell out of here, though. Skinwolf Werekin on the way in. Although, after watching him, or not watching him, but after seeing evidence of him just bullying Throg, maybe he could wheel and fight here. It looks like he is actually thinking about it. So the Pimp Wagon turns around. And what kind of damage are we getting here? Come on, Volkmar, do something. Oh, wow, he does do a lot of damage to these, does a lot of damage to these Norska characters. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, that weapon strength, and I guess with the melee attack buff active, he's got enough to be able to get through 32 melee defense without too many problems. Yeah, and then he gets the weapon strength boost from flaming attacks, the magic attacks are getting around the fizz res. There's so much going for him. I really like this from Suga. You do not see Volkmar too terribly often. It's pretty uncommon in terms of a Lord choice, I would say. Good save on the Nuln Ironsides as well. Both of them alive and well, and really starting to lay into the Skinwolf Werekin here. Good damage, good pressure from Norska getting back here, but do they have the sauce to continue this attack? Because they look beat up, man. They've got, like, nothing left on the field. I don't know how the hell this isn't a more lopsided game. I guess because of the damage that Volkmar's been taking. He has been getting hammered pretty badly. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, that's probably where a lot of that value from Norska is coming from. The rest of the Empire army being so healthy is really starting to show the weaknesses in the value trade area of this game. Norska Horsemen gonna get absolutely roasted by the Burning Head, and this Burning Head, as opposed to the others, literally got the perfect, literally got a perfect cast. I mean, right down the line of everybody. Marauders, Horsemen, Champions, all of them just eating massive damage from that cast. And yeah, down goes the Werekin. Nuln Ironsides are opening back up on Throg. Throg already losing 900 HP from just one accurate Nuln volley. It's pretty nuts. I actually really enjoy Nuln Ironsides. I've played a few games of Empire with them. Even into Dowey, they can do some really wicked damage because they just fire so freaking fast. 6.4 on the reload time is disgusting. There are not a lot of gunpowder units that fire faster than every 12 to 11 seconds. The fact that these dudes open up every 6.4 is really horrific, honestly, if you're trying to close the ground on them, because if you've got a critical mass of Nuln Ironsides, then there's really just no safe way in on them, and you're just hoping that you're able to bulldoze over them, take enough down, and then cut off the rest of the Empire reinforcements from supporting them. That's just not happening here for Norska. They just have no hope at this point. They're getting bullied by Knights of the Blazing Sun. Pistoliers have been poking all game and doing some pretty good work. They paid for themselves. Free Company Militia doing a good job of cleaning up the dregs out there on the number 3. And Volkmar with 2,700 value, heal cap, still has 2,000 for the late game. Could end up doing something towards the latter stages. Oh, Beasts of Tashnar just get flattened by the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Oh my god. You know, Beasts of Tashnar may be a good value trade piece. Really nice little hound unit with some anti-large, but they are awful against armor, and Knights of the Blazing Sun are way too much for them to contend with. Yeah, Throg's gonna die to Nolans and Hawklands, it looks like. Hawkland's really focusing him down right now. 1,600 on the Hawklands right now after this. 19? 1,800. Okay, close enough. You can see the Empire's just going to start crowding out more and more space with more guns. Now that they're more firmly established on the high ground here, you can get Nuln Ironsides on the corner of the objective here, and just have a couple of spearmen on the slight low ground below them, and they can just have perfect LOS over the top of those guys at that point. Yeah, that Sorcerer. Shaman Sorcerer with only 600 value. I would just not bring Death Magic against the Empire. If you want my 2 cents, I think this might actually be a Famir Shadowcaster matchup. You could also do Searing Doom, but I think Shadow's Magic might be a little bit better, and having the Famir missile resist against the Empire could be nice. You just overcast Melkoths from downtown on Hawken Long Rifles all game, drop it on Demigryphs when they're out, hit Cavalry. You can bring Pit of Shades if your opponent blobs up with anything expensive. I think that would do you a lot better than the Death Magic. Death Magic just was a huge nothing burger for Say No to Ducks. Oh my god, 100 Javelins just get dunked on out here. Just totally caught out in the open field. Can't do a damn thing about it. Feral Mammoth comes up, Demigryph Albert's going to surround it, and it's going to get peppered to pieces by Sterlins and the Hawklands. A million different units to use to kind of bully all those. Beasts of Tashnar do make contact with the Hawken Long Rifles, but they get pushed back pretty quickly. That's the Blazing Sun, just running around and being really obnoxious. Wow, the Mist Stalkers. I mean, this is a lot of firepower, and you can see that they're actually able to weather a fair amount of that. It's a bit of a shame that they came out onto the point just to stand there and get shot to pieces. But what are you going to do in a late game situation like this? The best thing you can do is ducks when you're behind like that.
I knew it. Unending glory is yours.
Consolidate all your forces. Don't send anybody off for any spec ops kind of stuff. Just get all your summons out in one area. Push your 1 point. Try and cap that. Look for pick opportunities from summoning some stuff out of Vanguard onto isolated units that your opponent might not be paying attention to. And just see if you can get some value back. That's really the best thing you can do in a scenario that looks that grim. Honestly, though, that was just really well played by Suga. That Throg kill early, that was disgusting. Like, what are you supposed to do when your lord is just getting dunked on like that, man? I actually want to go back. I actually want to see the end result of that one. Did watch this? Yeah, we did watch this game. Haven't seen this one. I might actually save this game. Check it out for a separate cast. I would like to actually go through and discuss some stuff about this matchup. I think that would make for a pretty good standalone one. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. I just want to see what killed Throg, because it seriously felt like I looked away for like 10 seconds, and I come back and he's just gone. Dude just vanished into the ether. I mean, Shadow Realmed in like 10 seconds flat, just about.
To glory!
Just fast forward through it. So,
We
positioning.
have a victory point. Keep it from the foe.
Something to actually keep in mind on Edge of the Darkwood. Oh god, now the rage mechanic's doing its weird audio bug. Anyway, something to really keep in mind for fighting a faction like the Empire. Like, Marauder Champ's great out here. Get some spears up into the tree and kind of like creep them around into the back line. And push your opponent's home objective on this map. There's such a safe path away from missiles through the trees. You can get up on that number 3 with more than just 2 units and really make your opponent have to play a game that they're probably not going to be 100% comfortable doing. Could not recommend it more, personally. See how we get our Spirit Leech. We're about to get our engagement. So yeah, Thrall pushes in. He's taking some damage. Yeah, wow, it really is just this Nuln Ironside. Oh my god. Curial Shot did a little bit of damage, and then Volkmar just standing pat here. That is unreal, dude. Wow. Woof. Alright, man. Apparently, you should just never, ever, ever use, Never use Throg into Volkmar, especially when he's backed up by some Null Ironsides. That was disgusting damage, man. I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do about that except cry. Let's get some Kislev Chaos Downy action going.
Cowardice, hesitation, or failure. Fight until your last breath.
Katerin on the chariot. Pretty nice. The ice sled's a very nice piece. High mass, good at running over armored infantry, which can be a bit of a difficult thing for Kislev to clear out at times. Double Little Grom is going to be awesome for shutting down the Deathstreak rocket launcher. These things are pretty dangerous, but Little Grom is very accurate and fires way faster. The Demolition rocket fires much slower than the anti-infantry rocket does, which is a kind of interesting thing. Plus, it's got these really long arcing shots that take forever to land, so... Not only are you at a ranged artillery disadvantage here, the Chaos Dwarves, but those artillery pieces are very, very versatile and multifunctional. Like, Little Grom may not have anything that indicates that it's effective against infantry, but if you get some good side shots onto infantry formations, they thump against them super hard. Clearing out some Orc laborers back there. I mean, not like the best target in the world, but it's not because they're trying to hit them. They're trying to hit the Sorcerer Prophet right now, who is on the Bale Taurus. Oh, jumps up in the air. Just the right moment. Shot landing. Just short of the Chaos Dwarves. Lucky them. See what we got going on. Short is doing a pretty good job of microing the big guy around. He does eat a cannonball there. A little Grom shot going wide. Deathstreak is on fire at will. Now, it looks like it's being set to the anti-infantry rocket. Brutal damage on the Kislevite warriors. Big ouch. Definitely don't want to be weathering any more fire from the Chaos Dowie than you need to. I'm not sure why you bring a whole bunch of Kislevite warriors. I don't think that's the right call for a front line here. Probably just basic armored Kossars, because there are blasting charges on stuff like Infernal Ironsworn and the Blazing Beards of Basharik. There's Chaos Dowie warriors who will grind down a Kislevite warrior eventually. They're just better statted and a little chunkier in terms of the HP. And the AP on the Kislevite warriors is really not that good, especially with how low their damage output is. Winged Lancers looking to get a rear charge here, which would be kind of nice. And we do have the Little Groms thumping against the Demon's Tongue. This big, terrifying train, though, is going to start causing some leadership problems. It debuffs further with the burnt contact effect. I believe it also applies the damage by artillery modifier to units. Yeah, attacked by artillery -8. Pretty sure that's coming in from the Demon's Tongue. They are taking a little bit of friendly fire, too. The Little Groms are thumping, but they're really not doing nearly as well as they normally do, seemingly. A little bit lackluster in terms of the effects so far. Kossovite Dervishes get hit by the Fate of Buna. Much rather see that get used on the Winged Lancers. Kosovo dervishes just aren't that much of a threat, but it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. Because you've killed your opponent's front line. The Kosovo warriors just got absolutely steamrolled. They're getting wrecked by the flamethrower as well now. They just didn't have a chance, dude. That's just so painful. It's grim. Kislev does have a slight value lead. Is it inflated? Arguably it is, but you get a really nice Death Frost while Chalice is on a cooldown. Katerin is doing a pretty good job of staying after this guy, and those horse archers are also throwing in some damage. You know, so Roderick's front line may be just totally in the garbage can right now. Oh, and Little Grom missing a very important shot there. Starting to take a lot of damage from that Death Shriek. You can see now, it's actually 11.8 seconds. It's actually faster firing than Little Grom. But I think when you factor in the hang time on the shots, that's where it starts looking a little bit slower firing than it says it is. This has definitely been more than 11 seconds since this thing fired. I'm not entirely sure how it's coded to shoot. Sorcerer Prophet is hovering in the sky with some good values. Arena doing decently herself. We really need Kislev to bring something out to kill the Demon's Tongue. Get a massive summon of units here. Honestly, not bad going for something like this, where you just save up a ton of supplies. Bring out some units to try and counter your opponent's tools. I would really love to see the Griffin Legion hammering the Blazing Beards in the open field here just to stop their momentum and then get the things in the woods on top of them there. Just keep retreating from the Bull Centaur renders. Blunderbusses will be a little tough to shut down. They've been putting some fear into the Kislev skirmishers in Zarina, and Zarina's starting to look real beat up here. Nice shot on the Bull Centaur renders. I do believe that was Little Grom contributing that much damage. Kind of surprised none of these guys ended up dropping. Get another really nice accurate shot, taking a couple of the bulls down. Would be nice to have some firepower getting in there to clean them up a little bit quicker. Griffin Legion trying to get away. Wow, looks like the Iron Demon died on top of the Kislevi warriors. Yeah, they were able to drag it down. Very fortuitous for them. They do have a 2,000 gold value lead, and look at the damage going down on these Blazing Beards right now. Holy moly. The Bull Centaur renders are in the fight, and they will be doing some okay damage, but they're also pretty beat up already. We've got... oh, what is that? The Ice Fang?
One of your units has
Yeah,
been
Frost
destroyed.
Fang, that's what it's called. Yeah, the Bull Centaurs are running in. Another little Grom shot taking out another model and really keeping them on the back foot. And now I think Kislev's in the winning position. What the hell, man? Some crazy comeback going on here. Maybe not in the true sense, but just that opener was real rough for Kislev. Losing all of their Kislevi warriors for no gain. Little Groms were really not doing a whole lot. Here in the middle of this match, though, the Little Groms are really starting to take over, and they've done a lot of the heavy lifting by killing the Bull Centaur renders. Sorcerer Prophet's too beat up to really push in. The Death Shriek has done pretty decently for itself, but definitely not as high impact as the Little Groms have been. And you do get the Griffin Legion and things in the woods on top of the Chaos Dowie Blunderbusses. Going to take them down in pretty short order. Another nice win for Kislev. Really all you've got here to deal with now is a Infernal Guard Fireglaive. And the Armored Kossars will actually be able to value trade at range with these guys. If they just push up their pistols, the Silver Shield's enough to keep them nice and healthy, and they'll actually win out as long as they are plinking away. Armored Kossar great weapons can get up on the side and chip away a little bit as well. eat a nasty Death Shriek rocket, though. Definitely don't love seeing that as Kislev right now. You get Khedive Fireborn on the way in. Roderick has 2,200 supplies. Really should think about bringing some stuff in, man. You got a couple of units in here that are a little annoying and definitely can throw down against you. Don't want to leave them unoccupied. Winged Lancer's going to take down the last of the Blazing Beards of Basharak, which is awesome. Just tossing him over. Actually not getting a whole lot of impact on the charge for how few models were left on the Blazing Beards. They held up shockingly well. Dervishes are doing some spec ops shenanigans and Bull Centaur renders on the way in. Both players floating a lot of supplies. This battlefield situation, honestly, favoring the Chaos Dowie a little bit right now. Got a little bit of business going with their push on the number 2 here. The Khedive Fireborn are getting poked down by halberds, but still doing some respectable damage. Hopefully they're able to persevere through this and help clean up this Armored Kossar unit here. I think with the 2 Kislevite Warriors going to the middle objective, that'll be safe for our frosty cousins here. Dervishes also going to be moving forward to offer some backline pressure potentially. Yeah, and the Khedai are getting poked down by the pistols now. The Armored Kossars finally getting those guns online and doing something with them. Could have come a little bit sooner. There's definitely been a few things that Kislev could have cleaned up to get some more value out of their units. Little Grom is an excellent opportunity to just get like I don't know, 600-700 value if it'll actually shoot here. Come on, shoot, Grom. I don't know why this thing is not firing right now. This does happen sometimes with Little Grom. Little Grom is a very loud artillery piece. If you don't hear it thumping, it's probably having a hard time targeting for some reason. Give it a move order and then another shoot order, and it'll 9 times out of 10 fix that. Rough. Kislevite Warrior's gonna go down here. Zarina Katerin just doesn't have much going on. Beautiful Buna on the Winged Lancers. Holding on to that magic for a long time. Wow, and the breath attack, nuking the Winged Lancers. Maybe gonna save the Death Shriek? Well, I don't think so. It does look like it's gonna be going down here. Little Grom is still not shooting. What is wrong with you, bro? Bugged. Roderick's still floating a lot of supplies, man. I mean, Oath Brothers of Tor are a pretty good unit to have right now. Did break the Death Shriek. Want to guarantee the full kill on it. Did cap the outside. Gotta get something to save your number 3. Horse Archers versus Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders. Gonna be a win for the Kislev Horse Archers. They're just better in every respect. Looks like they might actually just be going fisticuffs here. Oh, wow, not even one volley. They just get in and go right for the jugular. Probably going to win that head up pretty quickly. They got a superior charge bonus to the Wolf Raider Cav and better weapon strength. Not to mention the Wolf Raiders just completely missed the charge. Didn't even have an opportunity. Oath Brothers of Tor scrapping against a bunch of really annoying units, and just getting one-tapped by the Demon's Tongue. Don't worry about it, guys. There's nothing wrong with Iron Demons. They're not anything other than fair and balanced, right? I mean, that wasn't ridiculous or anything. Oh my god, dude. Well, that's one way to get back in the game. Chaos Dwarves just destroying the Kislev, ROR Bear Cav. No time flat. That was filthy, man. I would be so angry if I were playing Kislev. I think that what's gonna happen potentially here, though, is that, if Roderick just defends his back objective here, he's going to win this game. There's not really any reason that he needs to go and fight up on this middle objective, to be quite honest, when he can just play the delaying tactics out in the open field and make sure his opponent's infantry aren't capping the points up. It might not even be enough time for this Kadai to cap the number 1. It's pretty poor at 3. Probably needed to summon out some units a little bit earlier to get up here. You know, it's not a bad thing to be floating supplies, but by the time you're talking about being around the danger zone of being, your opponent being at about 1,200 tickets, I don't care what the game situation looks like. You need to be getting units out on the field for caps.
I knew it.
And they just came out too late and still didn't have his full complement of forces on the field. There was no way he couldn't summon in some Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Just a couple Chaos Dowie Warriors to slow push objectives would definitely have given him some breathing room for capping points in the late game. One sec, guys. Alrighty, guys, we've got one more replay to go through. See what some Lizardmen versus High Elves looks like again. We saw one earlier. Lizardmen didn't dominate that game, but it was a fairly convincing victory. But that had a lot more Saurus. There's only one Saurus warrior in this build for Dace. It's got a lot of red-crested skinks. I really do not like red-crested skinks against cavalry factions. Let me tell you what's going to happen to this red-crested skink right now. I'm going to look forward through my crystal ball into the future. My vision is that the red-crested skinks are going to rock forward. They're going to get filled full of arrows. They're going to lose about half their HP. And even if that doesn't happen, what's gonna occur is a Silverhelm's gonna come out and just flatten the red-crested skinks. Skinks get ripped apart by heavy cavalry. It is horrible for them. Red-crested skinks are good against like warriors of chaos and Khorne. Few other matchups. I really don't see High Elves being a matchup where you want to bring them, because High Elves don't really even have anything that's heavily armored. Like, Silverins only have 75 armor, guys. That's, like, good, but really not anything exceptional. Just your basic Saurus warriors would have plenty of weapon strength to punch through the 75 armor. Just go for 2 of them instead of getting 4 red-crested skinks who are going to be really hard to use properly. Chameleons doing their thing. As always, Poke Extraordinaires definitely getting, I would say, a slight edge up. They're a little outnumbered, and they are getting chased down by, oh my god, the Hero Squad. But Teclis, man oh man, talk about getting, talk about overextension. Oh, Teclis, come on. Gotta get him out of here. He pops his sword. He's getting some reserves. Pop a regrowth right now so that you have the maximum amount of healing. Looks like he's gonna miss that window just a little bit. Gotta keep Teclis alive here, man. He is, he's here so that you don't have to move up. He's here to, play, net value game, and, that is not happening right now for the High Elves, and instead they're just getting hammered by the ranged pieces here. The Umbral Tide with their ambush, you have to be expecting these guys. Umbral Tide are in about 80% of Lizardmen builds. Oh, ouch. Lyrian Reaver Archers getting lit up. Yeah, the Red Crested Skink's really not doing a whole lot. Like I said, they just get poked. If they don't get poked to death from range, then they get run down by heavy cavalry like Silver Helms. Dragon Prince is running over some Feral Cold Ones out on the #1 objective. They need to get the hell out of here, though. They do not want to tangle with the Cold One Spear Riders right now. And just more devastation from the Umbral Tide. Daceberg with really good positioning and really good spacing on his units. Need to be careful of this. You don't want to blob ever like that, but Krokgar finds Teclis and is actually just going to outright kill Teclis. Oh my god, man. Big ouch.
Glorious! You have killed an enemy.
Oof. Gotta protect your Teclis type lords better. You can't use Teclis in melee. Teclis is way too vulnerable at that. Good charge down on the Chameleon Skinks with the Illyrian Reaver Archers. Definitely the right call. Some Pterodons actually coming up with their Javelins to do some poking. Maybe we'll see a rock drop sometime soon here. They can get some pretty decent value. I do like standard Pterodon Riders. Fire Leech Bolas are kind of bad, but just the regular old Terries can throw down, do some decent work. Yeah, Cold One Spear Riders doing some great damage to the Dragon Princes, who just aren't equal to the task. They don't have any AP, really. Cold One Spear Riders obviously do. They do get a good charge off on the Red-Crested Skinks. They're going to take the Skinks down pretty quickly here. Good frustration of that backline pressure. Some really good focus fire coming out of all these archers here. Sisters of Avalorn and the Talents of Torquilida put some big damage in on the Pterodon Riders. Decent rock drop, though, on the Sisters. Definitely some good work, and unfortunately, the Illyrian Reaver Archer Corps is just beat to hell. Nothing left on those guys, really. They're desperately trying to get rid of the last of the Chameleon Skinks here, but the Chameleons are actually doing pretty good in terms of numbers. Just their HP that's low. 66 Chameleon Skinks left in this unit. 47 on this other one. Probably going to be able to finish off the Illyrian Reaver Archers. Umbral Tide with 1,600 value, great performance, and Nobles get fully surrounded by the Pakopok cohort. Guessing Krokgar had a little bit of scrap with them as well. He's pretty beat up. And that's going to be game blouses for the Hero Squad now. And Source Warrior just pushing, slow pushing, man. Scary thing to see as an elf. Just angry dinosaurs from the I don't even know what eras they're from. I mean, how old are the Lizardmen, comparatively speaking, to all the other Warhammer Fantasy species? Is it like dinosaurs IRL, where they've been around for, like, you know, tens of millions of years or something? Because I know that the Slan and the Old Ones, respectively, are extraordinarily old life forms. I just don't know the full lore details on them. Archers poking, doing their thing, just trying to keep the pressure back, but Paco Pac cohort are probably going to be able to make contact with the back line here, and then the Saurus Warriors will just be able to blob the rest of it up. You know, they do take some pretty serious casualties, but they get on top of the talents of Torquilita, and with their good weapon strength, they'll very quickly take down this very squishy, low HP archer unit. Now there's some more Saurus, there's some red-crested skinks. Some of the red-crested skinks have actually done okay. Gonna bite my tongue a little bit, but one of them got fully clowned on. Another one over here, it's advancing. Hasn't done a whole lot yet. Good volley fire from the Umbral Tide. It is good to utilize the Umbral Tide against infantry when they're lightly armored, like Sisters of Avalorn. That's an expensive enough target that you don't mind the slight inefficiency of the unit against them, because the eventual, like, overwhelming amount of value that you're going to get is more than worth it. So, Fireborn get hit by Uranins, but they do get a regrowth, slightly boosted because of the Greater Arcane Conduit from our boy here. Teclis is just running around trying to make something happen, but now you got all these bodies in underneath the Fireborn. Your heal is on cooldown, really need to pull out of here. Got Bound Fiery Convocation. Where did it get used? The Fiery Convocation should have been saved for right now to peel all of these bodies off the front of the Fireborn. I think it got held onto a little bit too long, or used at a pretty inopportune moment. Probably like out here to try and save this point. Yeah, man. Ripperdactyls flying around. I do believe that the lizards have this pretty well in hand. If Teclis had been out longer, I wouldn't even be feeling bad about the value deficit, because you'd be surprised how far healing will take you, but that's going to be a really nice Uranins. That's a good Bound Fiery combo right there. Cobra Sotek get nuked by it, but the Fireborn are just getting dragged down. They can only do so much. Too many swarming elements all over them. They're actually in a falter here. Man, Chameleons with 1,000 value, 784 on the other. Umbral Tide with 2,600, and the Lunar River Archers, just nothing out of them. Silver Guard, nothing out of them. Nobles, nothing. Teclis did okay, but that reckless attack early was... That's just one of those ill-advised dives that time and experience with getting punished by people is gonna teach you very quickly not to be playing dangerous games like that. You don't want to be winning that particular prize. I really want to do this replay, but it's about time for me to call the stream here. So I'll look at it, and if it's worth doing a solo cast for, I'll definitely go for it. I was just casting new player replays rogue. I'm about to end stream here. Just gonna sit and reflect for a minute with y'all. I'll be looking to play in some of the tournaments that are going on this week. I'm signed up for all of the for all the month-long tourneys that are going on. Hopefully we get some good tourney formats I can jump in and out of. There is a new player tournament going on at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. For those of you who were going to be available. I see quite a few people signed up for it already. If you're playing in that tournament and you want to send me some replays, please do, because I'd love to get my hands on them. Do you have any faction deep dives planned? I would love to do some faction deep dives, but the second I start working on them, you know, the DLC is supposed to be coming out in a month. They're just going to be out of date immediately, so I'm waiting for the new update and DLC before I jump into that, because I do have a lot of thoughts about my main factions, certainly. I do think that I have some good informative stuff to add on about some stuff. I just don't want to put ones out that are gonna just immediately be out of date. Thank you for that. I spent a lot of time really like noting and thinking about where I wanted to place all the units when I was doing those Khorne and Beastman roster breakdowns. And they took quite a bit of time to get done, so I'm glad somebody got some use out of them. You know, for Khorne and Beastman, honestly, those tier lists kind of still hold pat for the most part, but there's definitely things that change fairly regularly that need to stay pretty up to date on. If you ever want to, like, see a very decent breakdown of Khorne and the Beastman rosters, then go check out those videos that Rogue AI is talking about, because most of the information stands. There's definitely been some changes, minor or otherwise. But neither of those factions have gotten any super crazy changes. They've both stayed fairly consistent since then. But yeah. Appreciate you guys showing up, showing out. I'm gonna go rest, chill, eat, and do some more studying. I've got some really cool and interesting books that I'm reading right now, so I'm gonna go enjoy those for a bit. That's another good point. If you are struggling against Beastman or Khorne, then you can watch those, and it'll give you a good idea of what kind of units people are going to prioritize. So yeah. See you later, guys. I hope y'all have a good one. Hopefully, find some time. I'll be able to stream, and I'll see y'all soon. Till then, peace, guys.